CAs. Okay. So CA Sanjay Chotara, Gandhidham branch chairman. So and all the participants are also most welcome. Yes, we have with us Charanjot sir, Nanda sir to say a few words to start this program. Sanjay sir.
Yes, Gaji. So very good evening, dear professional colleagues. It's a pleasure to welcome you all to this live webinar on cloud computing. Opportunities and challenge for chartered accountants, organized by the Digital Accounting and Assurance Board and hosted by the Gandhidham branch of WRC of ICA. I'm glad to see our gatherings. I, on behalf of all the members, heartily welcome CS Nanda Chairman, Digital Accounting and Assurance Board ICI, and C. Rayani Sharma, Vice Chairman, Digital Accounting and Assurance Board ICI. And on behalf of all the members and institute, I also welcome our today's learned faculty, Professor Kapil leading us opportunities for chartered accountants. Nowadays, we are every day and time using cloud computing, but we are unaware of it, such as use of online service to send mails, edit documents, watching movies or TVs, listen to music, and altogether everything. It is likely that the cloud computing is making it all possible behind the scenes. Our day-to-day working style of practice has also changed, and we are using many softwares which we are accessing from cloud. And after COVID-19, we have also learned the new tech working style that is work from home. Basically, looking towards the cloud computing, it is a big shift from a traditional way of business. Think about IT resources. In traditional way, cloud computing is a delivery of computing service including servers, storage, database, networking, software, analytics, and intelligence over the internet to offer the faster innovations, flexible resources, and economies of scale. Users typically pay only for the cloud services you use, helping lower your operating cost, run your infrastructure more efficiently, and scale as your business needs change. So today we will learn about the opportunities and challenges for chartered accountants in cloud computing. So I would like to end up and wish you all a great time ahead and happy learning. Thank you. Over to Jigar Bhai.
Thank you very much, Sanjay sir. We also have with us Nanda sir, who is representing today as the chairman of the Digital Auditing, Accounting and Assurance Board of ICAI.
Recording in progress.
But he is also chairman of Internal Audit Standard Board of the ICAI, the Committee on Information Technology of Southern Asia Federation of Accounts. He is also vice chairman of the Banking, Financial Services and Insurance Committee of the ICAI. Sir has also been a member of the Central Council of the ICAI. Sir has also been the chairman of the following committees, that is the Management Accounting, the Internal Audit Committee, the Member in Industry Committee, the Research Committee, the Banking, Insurance and Pensions Committee, the Women Members Empowerment Committee, the Public Relations Committee. Sir has also been vice chairman of Public Finance and Government Accounting Committee, Continuing Profession Educational Committee, Corporate Social Responsibility Committee, Financial Services and Insurance Committee, Research Committee. Sir has been a member of SEBI Advisory Committee on Primary Market and Committee on Mutual Funds, and have also represented ICAI on SEBI Committee on Disclosure and Accounting Standards. Sir has also been member, chairman and treasurer of the Northern India Regional Council of the Chartered Accountants, Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. So I would like to welcome sir to say a few words on this event, sir. Please.
Thanks a lot, Jigar Bhai.
Thank you, sir.
I am very honored to be amongst you all. C.A. Sanjay Totara, my very dear friend and chairman of Gandhidham branch, Professor Kapil Kumar, who has been a constant companion to this great board, and all who have come here to go home more enlightened. Ladies and gentlemen, I am truly happy to be amongst you. Let me tell you, the council meeting is in progress at Siliguri. We are sitting in a very beautiful resort, Mayfair Resort. So I have very less time to speak to you, but I would like to tell you that this profession, our institute, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, was set up by an Act of Parliament way back on 1st July 1949, when our journey started. I want to tell you one thing very candidly, that we all have to work in tandem to make greener pastures for us to evolve and for the economy also to go back onto the rail. The COVID has particularly plundered number of business units, number of service orientation units have gone to the gallows, but it has given birth to your opportunities. IT is a sector which has grown immensely working from home. And I want to tell you that your institute, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, which is a constituent member of IFEC, was the first to come out with guidance on remote audit way back on 30th March 2020, when COVID had barely set in. Ladies and gentlemen, today's topic is a very pertinent and contemporary topic: cloud computing, opportunities and challenges. Yes, we chartered accountants now have to say goodbye to older opportunities, traditional opportunities, which are dwindling day by day. We have to now step into a newer world of technology. May it be cloud compounding, may it be blockchains, may it be system analysis, may it be data analysis, may it be artificial intelligence, may it be Internet of Things. All require the use of chartered accountants. The entire technology front has grown with the active participation of chartered accountants. And that is why we thought it fit to have a very nice program, a long program on cloud compounding opportunities and challenges. And we could not lay our hand on a better speaker than Professor Dr. Kapil Kumar, who has lived his life on technology. These are people, you remember Amitabh Bachchan's movie, Lavaris? He said, I drink English, I dance English, I sleep English, I do everything English. So Dr. Kapil Kumar does everything in technology, eats technology, sleeps technology, thinks technology. And therefore, he is the right person, the apt person to take you to the great stance where you start appreciating the view and use of technology and start emulating it and incorporating in your lives. So ladies and gentlemen, I will not stand between you and Mr. Kapil Kumar. But I want to tell you that I am not far away. Last 2-3 times I was in the US and I could not come, so a number of members have written to me. I want to tell you that I'm always available at a beck and call. And I'm reminded of a couplet which says, जब भी जी चाहे बुला लेना मुझे मेहरमा, जब भी जी चाहे बुला लेना मुझे मेहरमा, मैं गया ही जो लौट के ना आऊंगा. I'm not the time which is bygone. I can always come whenever you call. I am there from the beck and call of my members, my brothers and sisters. And this profession shall scale newer heights once we embrace technology as our practice area. Over to Jigar Bhai for his further proceedings. Thanking all for giving him an opportunity to speak. And more importantly, let's all work together to create a newer profession, a great profession that contributes largely in building up our dream India. Thank you so much. Over to Jigar. This is all yours, Jigar Bhai.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for the energetic and enthusiastic address to all of us. Now, to move forward with our session, I would like to introduce Kapil sir. I think Nanda sir has said so much about him, but still I would like to mention some more facts about him. Sir has been a business coach for more than 2 decades, and he has conducted programs and he has been continuing conducting programs for the IBM, Oracle, Google, HP, SAP, Deloitte, PwC, KPMG, and every most probably the possible best companies you have ever heard of. He has also worked as a consultant with Dubai Police, Egypt, Telecommunication, Emirates, and many more. Sir is a senior DISA and FD faculty for the ICAI. In last 24 years, he has trained thousands of corporate professionals and employees and students. Along with corporate profile, he is also contributing in academics. So he is very associated with the B schools, the top B schools and technical schools of India, that is the IITs and IIMs. Along with corporate assignment, he is equally involved into sports. So that is a very interesting thing, sir. Sir has been a gold medalist in BE in computer science from SGSIETS. He has done his MTech from IIT Kanpur. He's a gold medalist in MBA from Institute of Management Studies Indore, and he's a certified information system auditor. Sir has been awarded the Best Students Award, the Best Faculties Award, and the Best Trainer Award also. Along with technical, he is also one of the leading trainer in the area of life management system. So yes, sir. With this, I would request, sir, that we are very keen to learn from you on IT and, of course, on this life management. Something, if you can say a few words also. Thank you very much, sir. And the stage is all yours. Please, guide us on that cloud computing, sir.
Thank you, Jigar bhai. Thank you, Nanda ji. Nanda ji already generated the energy at the beginning of the session. Kindly just confirm I am properly audible. My screen is accessible to all of you.
Very much, Mr. Kapul, very much.
Very good. Your blessings are with
Great.
us.
Always there.
Okay. So all of you, I hope so, are aware of that now from last more than 1 decade, we enter into now new industry phase, which is known as Industry 4.0 or Industry 4.0. Okay. And now each and every business organization anywhere in the world honestly accepted, irrespective of the nature, irrespective of the size of the business organization, they all accepted that data is the lifeline and technology is the driver of the business. Okay. Whether a particular business organization is involved into the manufacturing, whether a particular business organization is providing the services, whether it is a banking, whether it is insurance, whether a particular business organization is working at the small level or a particular business organization offering its services at the global platform. Okay. Now, if data is the lifeline and technology is the driver, then almost every day you heard about you people. I hope so many of you are involved also actively into like data analytics. You people are involved into even database services. You are involved into the different type of audit, whether it is the statutory audit, whether it is a concrete audit, whether it is a IES audit, whether it is a forensic audit. And now, from where this data is coming, how to perform the selection of the right technology, and now even this data is no more the data. This data is now converted from last more than a decade, is now converted into the big data. So what is special about this big data? And whenever we'll think about the big data, then default, the fundamental issue or the fundamental vulnerability which most of the business organizations are facing, that they don't have the sufficient infrastructure, they don't have the sufficient container where they can hold or they can store the data. Although one-sided I mentioned that data is the lifeline, and other side now I am saying that organization don't have the sufficient infrastructure. Now let me use the one more statement. Organization don't want to miss a single piece of the data. The manner in which organizations were capturing the data before 2 decades, before 1.5 decades, even before a decade, and the manner in which organization like to capture the data today, every moment 360-degree, whatever is happening with respect to any business organization, whether the data is coming related to the vendor, whether the data is coming related to the customer, whether the data is coming related to contract employee, whether the data is coming related to the permanent employee, whether the data is related to the material, whether the data is related to the service, means each and every piece of data organization want to capture. Because until unless they are unable to capture, until unless they are unable to store this data, then there is no question of analysis. And if there is no analysis, then there is no question of the fair decision making. And if there is no fair decision making, then there would be a huge impact over the productivity, over the efficiency of the business organization. And here now this cloud computing is playing the key role. Although, let me just simplify for you people. I hope so that many of you are using the computer system or using the IT, mainly the computing device, from last more than 2 decades. And whenever we'll think about any computing device, the main attraction of the computing device is mainly two. Number one, tremendous storage capacity. And number two, tremendous processing power. These two are the main attraction of any computing device. That's why organization, especially in last 2 decades, they created a infrastructure with respect to IT, with respect to IS within the organization. Earlier organizations were using IT just to support the business, but now IT become the driver of the business. You just see the changes. And now, if attraction is the storage and attraction is the processing power, and now the challenge is the data is coming in the huge volume. And now the solution we are getting through this new emerging technology, which is emerged under Industry 4.0, that is the cloud computing. But why do we need and where we need or require this cloud computing? What are the application? As well as from the auditor point of view, from the chartered accountant point of view, we always concern about the risk assessment, we always concern about the risk analysis, we always concern about the associated vulnerabilities, we always concern about the associated threats. So where the vulnerability, where the threat? Because wherever the vulnerability and where the threat would be there, it will create opportunity for the chartered accountant to implement the effective control. And other than the chartered accountant, nobody means nobody can able to perform the better risk identification, the better risk analysis, as well as able to suggest the best control, able to prepare the best policy to mitigate the risk with respect to any business organization. Now just have a look. Jigar bhai, kindly just confirm. I'm changing the screen. My screen is properly accessible.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, just in brief, how any business organization, how the business organization at this moment, globally as well as in our country, are working. Okay. So just in one slide, I prepared the summarize the structure. I hope many of you are able to. Like whether business organization just before couple of years were involved either into the manufacturing or into the service sector. Okay. Means one organization dedicated into manufacturing, another organization dedicated into the service organization, which is known as the homogeneous nature of the business. But today, each and every business organization with every new business cycle is always concerned about to expand their horizon, to expand their size. Okay. Means their definition of productivity, their definition of efficiency, their definition of growth is totally changed. And now, nature of the business, which before couple of years was dedicated under the homogeneous environment with most of the business organization, other than the Tata, because only with respect to the Tata, you heard about Salt2 software. But today, even with respect to the Reliance also, we are using O2C, that is oil to chemical. With respect to Adani, we are using port to airport. Okay, you name it, any business organization, there is hardly any business organization even at the local level which is not involved into the multiple businesses. And if any business organization is involved into the multiple businesses, then default their working environment is now turned or transformed from homogeneous to heterogeneous. Okay, now one-sided from the business organization, from the business owner point of view, this is the productive, but from the chartered accountant point of view, risk would also increase when organization expand their size or when organization transform from homogeneous to heterogeneous. Now here there is one more thing, how the business organization, mode of doing the business. Now before couple of years, most of the business organizations were working under the offline mode. Then in last 2.5 decades, maximum in last 2 decades, some of the business organization dedicated into offline mode, some of the business organization dedicated under the online mode. Okay, like the Flipkart, like the Paytm, okay, you name it, like the Uber, dedicated under the online mode. Okay, but now maximum in last 2 years, since the COVID started, a new vocabulary you came across. Now the organization adopted even the new mode of doing the business. They are working under the offline mode as well as they are working under the online mode, okay, which is known as the hybrid mode. And again, from the chartered accountant point of view, from the organization point of view, now they are getting the flexibility. Means they are interacting with the customer, they are interacting with their stakeholder, they are interacting with their n number of business associate, either under the offline mode or under the online mode. Okay, they are offering their services in both the mode, under the offline mode as well as under the online mode. Like the banking, if anybody want to perform the payment transaction with respect to the banking organization, then under the current scenario, according to each and every bank, according to the guidelines defined by RBI, that is the regulator, each and every bank is still offering the traditional payment services. Means any customer can visit to a dedicated branch, visit to the dedicated cash counter and perform the deposit and the withdrawal transaction, which according to any banker, which according to any chartered accountant, which according to any financial expert, we consider the safest mode of performing the payment transaction. But now, with respect to the payment services, along with the traditional offline mode, now banks are offering IMPS, banks are offering RTGS, banks are offering NEFT, banks are offering UPI. Now, according to the layman customer, all these are the payment services and customer can perform the payment transaction using any of this mode. And maximum customers are now availing the UPI payment transaction. But now here, according to the business organization point of view, their productivity enhance, okay, their efficiency enhance, their volume of the business is increased, their revenue generation is shoot up, their profit margin is increased. But from the chartered accountant point of view, from the auditor point of view, I hope all of you would agree, risk associated with respect to the offline payment transaction, risk associated with respect to the IMPS, risk associated with respect to RTGS, risk associated with respect to NEFT, risk associated with respect to the UPI. And whenever we use the UPI, then UPI is always anybody can perform using the third party service provider, and into any business process, any third party service provider would be involved, then default risk would be increased. Please just concentrate. Then now, ultimate goal or ultimate objective of any business organization, whether the organization is doing the business related to airlines or whether the organization is doing the business related to banking or whether the organization is doing the business related to the pharmaceutical. With every new business cycle, organization is always concerned about enhancement in their productivity or efficiency. Okay, means their input cost would be, or input would be minimum, but output would be maximum, because they are strictly following the ROI principle. And whenever we'll think about the productivity and efficiency, then productivity and efficiency always we evaluate on the basis of three parameter. I hope all of you would agree. That is QCT, quality, cost, and time. And this time is not a normal time, but this is the lead time. That is the delivery time period. Means every organization is concerned about the customer satisfaction. And when organization concerned about this customer satisfaction as well as their business associate satisfaction, then now I hope all of you are aware of, from last more than 1 decade, you name it, any business organization, each and every business organization, not globally, even in our country also, is a part of 4 chain. Number 1, DCM, that is the demand chain management. Number 2 is the supply chain management. Number 3 is the logistic chain management. And number 4 is the CRM. So vendor, manufacturer, warehouse service provider, point of sale, which we also known as the retailer, customer, everybody would be integrated. Everybody would be the part of the chain. Please kindly just concentrate. Okay. Now, when everybody would be the part of the same chain, then from the organization point of view, they are getting the benefit also. But from the chartered accountant point of view, from the auditor point of view, risk would also be there. Okay. And here, again, this is the new model adopted by each and every business organization. Now, each and every business organization with every new business cycle is concerned about that their business process should be effective, should be free of bugs, should be free of defects, should be free of error. Okay. And now here, under the current scenario, when organizations are adopted the hybrid mode, then organizations are very much concerned about one more attribute, which is their expectation from the chartered accountant, which is their expectation from the auditor during the time of audit. That doesn't matter whether the auditor is doing the internal audit or whether the auditor is doing IAS audit or whether the auditor is doing statutory audit. In each and every audit, expectation of each and every business organization that auditor must evaluate their security also. Okay, and whenever we'll think about the security, then default focus area would be onto assets, vulnerability, threat, risk management, and the controls. Kindly just have a look. Now, these are the assets with respect to the current business scenario. And I hope all of you would agree with me. If you people like to include anything, I'm invite as per my involvement into the corporate within the country and overseas. These are the fundamental asset under which each and every business organization performance we are evaluating. Now, number one, each and every business organization is strictly following a dedicated business model. Okay. And success of any business organization is dependent on to the type of the business model followed by a particular business organization. Now, business organizations are working now under B2B, under B2C, G2B, G2C, G here stand for the governance. Okay, because Narendra Modi also want to be a part of each and every business. Although Narendra Modi is not directly involved, but Narendra Modi want to be monitor. Narendra Modi means the governing body. Yeah, RBI is not involved into the day-to-day operation performed by State Bank of India, but RBI is responsible to monitor that whatever the policy, whatever the guidelines, whatever the standards, whatever the procedure defined by the regulator, whether a particular business organization is strictly following or not, or whether they are following or they are bypassing. Even each and every business organization, they concern about their growth, they concern about their productivity, they follow the higher end technology, but no business organization having the privilege to bypass the compliance, to bypass the policy, to bypass the guidelines defined by the regulator, whether it is a RBI, whether it is IRDA, whether it is CCI, whether it is a TRIA, you just name it. Each and every regulator now is very much watchful. And please have a look here. And we always consider that chartered accountant playing the role of a mediator between the governance and between the management. I hope all of you would agree with me. And we default consider that chartered accountant knowledge with respect to the policy, with respect to the guidelines, with respect to the standard, with respect to the procedure, with respect to the controls defined by the regulator would be much, much better than even the management body. And during the time of audit, whenever chartered accountant going to evaluate the performance, going to evaluate the productivity, always keep in mind whatever the policy framework defined by the regulator. And if any business organization goes against, then auditor having the privilege to raise the red flag. Now, please have a look. This business model is again nothing, but business model is integration of a number of different type of the business processes. And whenever the business process execute, business process like a purchase, business process means like a procurement, business process like with respect to the banking a moment before I mentioned, like payment is a one type of a business process. Okay. Deposit is a one type of a business process. Withdrawal is a one type of a business process. Locker transaction is a one type of a business process. Housing loan is a one type of a business process. Automobile loan is a one type of a business process. And whenever any business process execute, I hope all of you would agree with me, it will generate the data. And now, data which is generated with respect to one business process is not equal to the data which is generated with respect to the another business process. And now here there is one more thing. Only auditor, only chartered accountant, only able to understood this concept. I hope all of you would agree with me. According to any business owner, according to any business promoter, he or she would consider every business process has a business process. But according to auditor, according to the chartered accountant, every business process is not a standard business process. Some of the business process are critical business process. Some of the business processes are highly critical business processes. Now, if business process is critical or highly critical, so can we say that whatever the data generated through that particular business process, that data again going to be critical or highly critical? Okay, so now if data is critical or highly critical, so whenever we'll think about the risk assessment, whenever we'll think about associated vulnerability, whenever we'll think about associated threats, so risk assessment with respect to the standard data and risk assessment with respect to the critical data and risk assessment with respect to highly critical data would be totally different. And according to any chartered accountant always find only one best solution to mitigate the risk, that is CONTROL, that is the control. And with respect to each and every control, whenever we'll perform the control assessment, then default strength of the control we always evaluate it via policy, because we implemented the control, but control is without policy, then there is no existence of any control. And strength of the control is always dependent on to the type of the policy. So whenever the business organization perform changes into their business process, it is always mandatory that they must perform changes in their controls and the policy. You just see here where most of the business organization, where most of the business owner, where most of the business promoters won't pay the key attention. And this is going to be the emerging area, because the vulnerability of the business owner, vulnerability of business promoter, because in management we strictly follow one term, that is SWOT. Weakness of someone create opportunity for someone else, because this totally depend how smartly you able to encash. Now, whenever we'll think about the data source, especially because data is always generated through some source. Okay, then under the current scenario, there are two type of sources we are using. One source is user, another source is machine or devices. Okay, this user may be internal, this user may be external. External means maybe a vendor, external may be a warehouse service provider, external may be a point of sale or a retailer, external may be a customer. Like if suppose we'll consider the case of the banking system. Okay, I hope all of you would agree with me. And especially with respect to the personal banking, 80 to 85% personal living banking processes executed by customer itself. Okay, customer is able to transfer the money from one account to another account. Customer is able to generate the FDR. So maximum business processes now even executed by the customer. So customer again become the source of generating the data. Okay, but now here, along with the internal user, along with the internal and external user, like machines, again with respect to the banking system, like if we'll consider the case of bank like State Bank of India, the largest bank in the country. Okay, Now, even according to RBI, since 1st of April 2017, officially now State Bank of India size-wise also is the largest bank, because under the umbrella of State Bank of India, now total 9 banks are there after merging of each and every associate. Number 2 is PNB, number 3rd is Bank of Baroda, number 4th is Union Bank. This is the hierarchy defined. Now, what about here? State Bank of India now almost a decade before introduced the new concept parallel to the branches in all the major cities in the country, Kashmir to Kanyakumari. There is a digital branch introduced which is known as e-corners. Now, if customer want to perform the deposit, so in place of interacting with the banker, customer can interact, can perform the transaction via machine. There is a dedicated machine for deposit purpose. Now, there is a dedicated machine for deposit purpose. So can we say that there is a dedicated business process implemented or defined between the customer and the machine? Okay. And again, there is a dedicated data would be generated with respect to that particular dedicated business process. Similarly, there is a dedicated machine for withdrawal purpose, which is known as ATM. There is a dedicated machine for check deposit machine. Check deposit, earlier the boxes were there, but now there is a dedicated machine check, which technically we know as instrument. Then there is a dedicated machine to update the passbook also. Now in each and every machine, there is a different business process. Each and every machine is alive 24/7, 365 days. So just think about bank like a State Bank of India. In what proportion, in what volume the data would be generated, as well as now the customer freely performing the transaction via card swiping machine, which is technically is known as POS, just like the ATM. All these machine, all these devices, those which are used by end user are known as POS. Okay, so the data which is generated via all this POS, along with this, now in each and every business organization, even with the banking also, you will find CCTV, biometric devices. Now CCTV and biometric devices, although from the chartered accountant point of view, from the auditor point of view, are the type of control. Okay, like CCTV is a type of a detective control, biometric is a type of a preventive control. Okay, but CCTV and biometric both are generating the data, both are the data capturing devices. I hope all of you would agree. And 24/7, 365 days, all these devices would remain live with respect to any business organization. Okay, there is no weekend, there is no official holiday for all these devices. So even when the banker is not in the bank, but then also the data would be generated with respect to the banking organization. Similarly, with respect to any other business organization also. Okay, now I hope all of you are aware of the FASTag according to NHAI, which is the controller with respect to the toll plazas. Okay, now once the FASTag implemented in last 1.5 years, the volume of the data which is generated from Kashmir to Kanyakumari with respect to each and every toll plaza, especially onto NH, would be much more than the volume of the data which they were generating earlier. And I hope all of you would agree with me. FASTag is nothing but it is purely enabled with IoT. Okay, that is Internet of Things. And whenever, because each and every vehicle contain the FASTag, means contain the sensor, as well as the sensor is installed at the toll plaza, and the communication would be built up and the data would be generated when the process performed. Okay, between the vehicle owner and the toll plaza, between the toll plaza and the RTO, between the toll plaza and the banking organization, you just see they are different, B2C as well as B2B in the background, their number, and the huge volume of the data would be generated everywhere. Now here the problem, now here the question, the big fundamental problem which most of the business organizations are facing, especially in last 1 decade maximum in last 5 years. And almost daily basis, I'm receiving all these queries from most of the business organizations because they don't have the capacity. They don't have the in-house potential to create the infrastructure to hold, to capture this data. Because here now the challenge, the data which organizations are generating, they want to store the data. Now till date, I hope all of you are well versed. Each and every business organization, even at the small level, like many of you are into the practice. So many of you having within your office in-house server, okay, which is known as on-premises storage unit, okay. But that on-premises storage unit or server is again a one type of a computing machine, okay, because server is what? Accept the data, store the data, process the data, and later on serve the data in the form of information to the relevant user. I hope all of you would agree with me. As per the policy defined, as per the process defined with respect to the server. Okay. But each and every server machine is again a one type of a computing machine. Okay. And each and every physical server again having the limited storage capacity. Okay. But the manner in which organizations are working and the manner in which they are generating the data. Okay. So whatever the capacity they are defining, as per their potential, as per their own capacity to spend, which is known as capex. Okay. Means whenever any business organization create infrastructure, especially at the initial stage with respect to the IT. Okay. So that type of investment technically we known as the capex. Okay. And once IT infrastructure come into the operation, and on regular basis for the maintenance of those IT infrastructure, whatever the investment organization perform are known as OPEX. Okay, that is the operation expenditure. Okay, and I hope all of you would agree with me that capacity of capex of one business organization is not equal to another business organization. Similarly, with respect to the OPEX, and each and every business organization, especially whenever we'll think about IT implementation, okay, then they always concern about less input and more output. And they always concern about one thing. Please kindly have a look. Whenever they are looking the solution from IT, then they always concern about that their business objective must be fulfilled via IT implementation. Okay. Now here the challenge is organization don't want to lose a single piece of data. Means whatever the data and from wherever in whatever the form the data would be generated, they want to capture. Okay. And before further processing, before organizing this data, which come the later on a stage. Okay. Data organization means the database. Okay. And after the database preparation, then the organization think about the analysis. Okay. And then the organization think about the decision making, because after the analysis, data would be converted into the relevant information. Okay. And then the top level user, people at the governing level, people at the top level are in a position to take the right decision using those reports, which is now basically source of information. But at the initial stage, this is the later on stage. Okay, because these come when data is converted into the database. But here I am concerned about when organization at the initial stage generating the data. Okay, which even you can known as randomly. Okay, random data which is coming through multiple sources, coming through the devices, coming through the social media, data coming through the CCTV, data coming through the biometric devices, data coming through the barcode reader, data coming through the OMR, data coming through the QR. Okay, in n number of different forms the data is coming. So the fundamental problem, fundamental challenge here, that how to hold, how to store this data. Okay. And now Till date, organizations were dependent onto the physical server, but now organization, along with the physical server, introduce, I'm not saying 100% migrated, even this won't be advisable, especially from the auditor point of view. Whenever the organization planning to migrate to the cloud environment, okay, the main attraction of the cloud, whenever we use this term cloud, okay, then always we concern about the data storage. Okay, and whenever we use this term, the cloud, then I hope all of you would agree with me. Cloud having the main attraction, that is the huge capacity to accommodate the data. Means even you can consider infinite capacity. Like for time being, I hope all of you able to see me. Like in my hand, I am holding this one device. Okay. Now for time being, just consider that this is the server with respect to my business organization. Okay. As per my level of intelligence, as per my level of knowledge, okay, as per my level of awareness, when I introduce this server into my organization, okay, then whatever the best configuration available in the market, I define that configuration with respect to this machine, especially with respect to the storage, especially with respect to the processing, with respect to the hard disk configuration, with respect to the processor configuration, with respect to the RAM. Okay, but when I launch this into, okay, means when I launch this server into my business organization, my organization is working under the hybrid mode 24/7, 365 days. So the volume in which my organization, the velocity via which my organization, variety of data which my organization is generating, veracity of the data which my organization is generating, after some time, capacity of this storage would be insufficient. Even the processor is unable to process the data. Means I'm start facing the issue with respect to the storage. I'm start facing the issue with respect to the processing power. Then now the solution is go for upgradation either of this machine or go for new machine with the better configuration. I hope all of you would agree, and many of you perform in this manner IT upgradation with respect to your own organization. Okay, as per using your own intelligence. Okay, but please think about this will, the statement which I'm using in this statement, having the opportunity for you people to provide consultancy to the business organization, especially organization those which are offering n number of different type of the business services. Now suppose my organization introduce this another server. I hope all of you able to see. Now when another server my organization introduce, so can we say that new input cost would be involved? Okay, although the configuration of this machine is better than the previous one, better storage capacity, better processing power. Okay, but here the vulnerability is high input cost. Okay, now I'm able to accommodate this up to the certain level. Now here there is only one advantage. I hope all of you would agree with me. Disadvantage or vulnerability. Vulnerability means the weakness is every time new input cost would be involved. But the advantage is both the servers are totally under my control. Okay, because both these servers, both these devices belongs to me. So whatever the data inside these two devices, I am having full control. So can we say that risk associated with respect to this physical server would be minimum? Only drawback, only vulnerability is with respect to the input cost. But here along with this, there is one more, that is the traffic of user. Because if my organization is every new business cycle, introducing or creating a one more new business vertical. Then now customer traffic, business associate traffic means the vendor traffic. Okay, means even the supplier traffic, it is a stakeholder traffic would also increasing. Okay, and when the traffic increase, when more and more user perform the transaction, then again the problem is user unable to perform transaction comfortably. That is the scalability issue. And now even I am having the capacity to arrange more and more better resources, but up to certain level. Okay, after some time I am also looking the solution which should be less input cost but maximum scalability, and here the cloud computing would come into the picture. Okay, cloud computing having the tremendous or the huge volume of storage, this is the one main application, less input cost. Okay, don't need to worry about the infrastructure, as well as now for database, for data storage. Okay, for data storage as well as for this hardware maintenance, I need required two resource person. Okay, those technically we known as the subject matter expert. One is SA, that is the system administrator. Another is DBA, that is a database administrator. Okay, just have a look here. Because whenever we store the data, after the data storage, concern about the data organization, and data organization for data storage purpose, system administrator and DBA both going to play the key role. Okay, if there is any hardware issue, if there is any software issue, those issues would be undertaken. Those issues, those technical glitches would be handled by system administrator. Okay, but now the question is where to keep which data. Like some data is a standard data, some data is a critical data, some data is a highly sensitive data. Okay, and now if suppose organization implemented along with the physical storage, the cloud storage also. And again, with respect to the cloud storage, there are three type of the cloud storage are available. I hope many of you heard about. Okay, like one is the public cloud, another is the private cloud, another is the hybrid cloud. Then again now become the challenge. Again, it become a query for any business organization, for any business user, that which data they should keep into the private cloud, which data they should keep into the public cloud, which data they should keep into the hybrid cloud. Because again, from the auditor point of view, from the chartered accountant point of view, vulnerability associated with respect to the public cloud, vulnerability and threat associated with respect to the private cloud, vulnerability and threat associated with respect to the hybrid cloud would be totally different. Okay, and many of the business owner, they having the capacity to accommodate, to create infrastructure with respect to the cloud computing. Okay, but they don't know, even they are not aware of, even they are not that much educated, that they able to differentiate between the data, between the standard data and the critical data, between the critical data and the sensitive data. So it becomes the challenge for them that where to keep which data, means which procurement unit they should use to procure which data. And here they need required assistance of someone who can help them. And here this will create opportunity for people like you. I hope you are getting me, how the opportunity is coming. And here you people can provide even the consultancy. Like I'll just give you a simple case. I hope many of you even involved also. Like under the current scenario, 90 to 95% business organizations are now ERP enabled. Okay. And market leader is SAP. After the SAP, number 2 is Oracle. Number third is Microsoft Dynamics. Okay. So whether it is a Finacle, whether it is a FlexCube, whether it is a TCS Bank, whether it is a RERA, whether it is a GST, whether it is a FASTag, whether it is a e-filing, all these are different software application, those which are purely ERP enabled. And I hope all of you would agree with me. Without brain of consultant, no organization think about to implement ERP, because standard information system is data oriented, but ERP is process oriented, and ERP strictly demand that first of all, organization should be well or thoroughly structured. There should be a proper WFM, that is the workflow management. Similarly, now with respect to the cloud computing also, many of the business owner, just like many of the business organization having the capacity to acquire SAP, to acquire ERP, but they don't have the capacity to implement ERP, and they always need required assistant of subject matter expert. Subject matter expert means consultant, and this consultant is always the third party service provider. And there are many chartered accountant in the country. I hope some of you amongst you also. I don't know, I'm interacting with how many chartered accountant at this moment, but I assume that many of you are even expertise into ERP implementation. Many of you are having very good exposure with respect to ERP implementation. And I hope all of you would agree with my this version that without brain of consultant, no organization think about to implement the ERP. Similarly, with respect to the cloud computing also, whenever the organization think about to implement the cloud computing, now again they need required assistance of the consultant, because whenever we'll think about the cloud computing, okay, now there are many applications, but there is a fundamental drawback. Like whenever we'll think about the cloud computing, so cloud computing is purely a third party support, whether it is AWS, whether it is Microsoft Azure. Amazon is a market leader. Amazon Web Services, 70 to 80%. Cloud computing market globally is under the umbrella of Jeff Bezos. Number two is Satya Nadella, that is Microsoft Azure. And especially in our country, market leader is Azure. Number two is AWS in India. Okay. So many of you, I hope, are using the OneDrive, are using Office 365, which is purely Azure enabled. Okay, in the background, Azure is there. Okay, Microsoft Azure. Then number third is IBM Cloud. Number fourth is Google Cloud. Number fifth is Oracle Cloud. So whenever we'll think about the cloud solution, so CSP, that is the cloud service provider, is usually the third party service provider. Now please concentrate here. What I mentioned at the beginning, data is the lifeline, and data is the most valuable asset for any business organization. And at this moment, if we want to evaluate the productivity, if we want to evaluate the performance of any business organization, then via data of that business organization, even the health of any business process, we can evaluate via data. So data is the most valuable asset for any business organization. Data would be generated whenever the business process with respect to a particular business organization is executed, and business process is again the valuable asset. Okay, now organization only having the vulnerability, they don't have the sufficient infrastructure to hold or to store this data. Okay, they want to cut down their operation cost for system administrator input cost. They want to cut down even their operation cost to organize this data. Okay, they cut down their operation cost with respect to data processing, and these are what application of any cloud computing. Okay, but the drawback of the cloud computing, it is the third party service provider. And if it is a third party service provider, so geographically business organization, that's why cloud computing Many times we also known as that cloud storage is also known as the virtual storage. Okay, like business organization physically exists at one particular business location. Cloud service provider geographically is located somewhere in the world. So data is container under which the data would be stored, data would be procured. That container is totally under control of the cloud service provider. I hope all of you are getting me what I am saying. And this will create the opportunity. Okay. And now here, need required some more infrastructure with respect to the cloud computing. Now to communicate with the hardware, need required a number of software application. And I hope all of you would agree with me that under the current scenario, there is hardly any software application which is not cloud enabled. Okay. Like what I mentioned a moment before, that 90 to 95% business organizations are ERP enabled. Okay. Now before decade, before 5 years, maximum before 5 years. Okay. As per my involvement, I am telling you the exact figure. Before 5 years, maximum ERPs were running in-house. Okay. Today, 70 to 80% ERPs are running cloud enabled. Means ERPs are now migrated from even SAP also. Those of you who are working with SAP, they all would agree with me. SAP having the cloud service provider, SAP having the cloud support from Google. Now SAP is independent organization, which is providing solution related to ERP. Google is providing solution related to the cloud storage. Okay. And whenever we'll think about the cloud, then under the cloud now, not only the storage, not only the container under which we can hold the data, not only the container, not only the database server. Okay. But there are many other entities are also involved. Okay. This is a huge infrastructure. One entity is the database storage unit, which we also known as the database server or a data container or the data procurement unit. Another is the networking. Okay. Because physically business organization is somewhere, even the business organization is performing transaction through multiple location, and what they are looking for through multiple devices via their n number of different business user. Some are internal or external, but what the business organization is looking, that whenever any business process would be executed and whatever the data would be generated, then each and every piece of data would be procured. Okay. That doesn't matter at the initial stage whether that data is valuable to the business organization or that data is not valuable to the business organization. That organization will decide later on when they will perform analysis. But at the initial stage, whatever the data organization is generating via any business process, they want to procure, they want to capture. Okay. Now different business users are physically located at different location. Some of the business processes are now purely AI enabled, which we known as robotic process automation. Okay. So if particular business process is executed via vending machine, particular business process is automatically executed in the form of the robotic process, then also it will generate the data. Okay. Now this data via networking goes to the cloud service provider storage unit. Okay. That cloud service provider is not only providing the services to a particular business organization, but providing services to a number of other business organizations. So basically that cloud service provider created a infrastructure which is known as the data center. Okay. And within that data center is basically a huge physical space. Okay. Just like a library. Okay. Having the multiple shelf, and in each and every shelf, there are multiple servers are defined. Okay. And as per the business need, as per the business requirement, they define the different type of the configuration, which basically documented in the form of service level agreement, which basically is document, which basically under the SLA document would be framed between the business organization and the cloud service provider, which is the important document from the auditor point of view. Now, here, organization implemented the network with respect to the intranetwork, with respect to the internet, with respect to the extranet. Okay, somewhere they implemented the public network, somewhere they implemented the private network, somewhere they implemented connection oriented network, somewhere they implemented connectionless network. So some of the users are under the private network, some of the users are under the public network. Now here, whenever we'll think about the network support, then I hope all of you would agree with me. Those of you perform the good number of internal audit, as well as those of you having experience with IS audit also. Just like system administrator who is responsible, dedicated with respect to hardware and software issues, just like DBA who is responsible with respect to any issue related to the database. Similarly, there is another administrator, that is NA network administrator, who is responsible to create a network infrastructure with respect to any business organization. And network infrastructure is again the backbone with respect to any business organization. And I hope many of you would agree with me. Under the current scenario, there is hardly any business organization which is not concerned about data breach, which is not concerned about data stolen, which is not concerned about the data fraud, which is not concerned about the data privacy, which is not concerned about the cyber fraud, and maximum vulnerabilities exist with respect to the network. Okay. And again, it is not necessary that each and every organization having the expert network administrator. If organization, because even the business organization, they don't have the capacity to invest that much. Okay. Now here again, all such solution would be provided by the cloud service provider. Okay. Now, along with this, if ERPs are running online, then ERPs require some more additional infrastructure, like a web server, which is technically is known as HTTP server. Okay. Along with this application server, which basically execute the business logic, like bi-monthly, whenever RBI perform changes with respect to the repo rate, with respect to the reverse repo rate, with respect to the SLR, with respect to the CRR. Okay. And whenever RBI perform these changes, like RBI performed just couple of days before, 50 basis point. Okay. Then down the line to each and every banking organization, whether it is a State Bank of India, whether it is HDFC, whether it is ICI, each and every customer EMI, either with respect to the home loan, with respect to the automobile loan, with respect to the education loan, would change. Okay. So all such changes would perform with respect to the application server. Okay. Along with this, now database server is a one type of container. Web server is another type of a container. Okay. Application server is another container. Along with this, each and every business organization now, under the current scenario, is concerned about, which is the emerging area for people like you. That is a data analytics. Okay. And now what I mentioned, data is no more the data, because this data is now converted into the big data. Just have a look. This data is converted into the big data. And whenever we'll think about the big data is basically a name of the technique. Okay. Integration of three form of data, that is the structured data, which is in the tabular form. I hope all of you are well versed with the, whenever we'll get the chance to interact sometime physically into the workshop, I'll give you the practical exposure. But for time being, just understood. Structured data is into the tabular form. Then the semi-structured data, I hope all of you deal, like on 31st of July, all of you perform maximum uploading with respect to each and every client associated with you. with respect to the Central Board of Direct Taxes server in the form of JSON and XML file, as well as every month, whenever you perform transaction with respect to the Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Custom, and again with respect to your each and every client, okay, and again with respect to the GST, which is a type of indirect tax, then again the final reports you upload either in the form of JSON and XML, okay. So data which is in the form of JSON, data which is in the form of XML, data which is in the form of HTML, data which is in the form of PDF, data which is in the form of CSV, data which is in the form of TXT, become many times, especially under the current scenario, whenever you go for audit, many times clients share with you the data in such form also, which is basically known as heterogeneous form of the data, okay. And volume of data now in the semi-structured would be much more than the data which organizations are generating in the tabular form. I hope all of you would agree with me. And this again going to become the challenge for any auditor, for any chartered accountant, where you people can offer n number of special type of services as a consultant, okay. And this is the emerging area for you people, that is the big data analytics. And without cloud computing, there is no big data analytics, just for your knowledge. Then there is a third form of data, that is unstructured data. What I mentioned, that each and every organization is enabled with CCTV, enabled with biometric devices, enabled with the social media. So data which they are generating in the form of image, in the form of audio, in the form of video, like at this moment, you and me are into this session. But according to the Institute of Chartered Accountant point of view, according to DAP, that is Digital Accounting and Assurance Board of, okay, what according to the DAP, the data which is generated during this session, this data would be the valuable asset, okay. Now the data which I am sharing with you in the form of slide, the nature of this data is totally different. The data which I am sharing with you verbally, this is a different form of data. And the data which is coming, you people are visualizing me, this is a different form of data. Please have a look here. So just think about right now, application via which you and me are interacting, that is the Zoom application, which is again purely cloud enabled, is again become the source of generating the data for the Institute of Chartered Accountant of India, for the DAP committee, okay. Now this data, if suppose parallel, there are multiple events are going on down the line to the DAP. So every day, even think about the week, DAB is not even working with the data. DAB is again enabled with the big data. And think about the entire institute. There are around 50 committees, and each and every committee dedicated daily organize a number of different type of event via Zoom. Then in which and then in what volume the data would be generated, especially if we just consider the scenario of last 2.5 years since the COVID has started. Now, whenever we'll think about this, big data analytics here, okay, here again the challenges. First of all, data would be stored, data would be integrated, okay. First, data would be stored and then data would be integrated. Now, to integrate this data, which is in the different form, some data is in a structured form, some data is in semi-structured form, some data is in unstructured form. Now, many of the business organizations, they don't have the capacity to hire this capacity or this potential or this intellectual level of the manpower. So to cut down this cost, they are again dependent onto the cloud service provider, okay. And that cloud service provider, now at this moment, AWS, Microsoft Azure, Google, like I hope all of you heard about the Google Analytics, okay. Google Analytics is nothing but basically it is a big data analytics, okay. Same as I hope all of you heard about Tableau, you heard about the Python, okay, you heard about the Power BI, you heard about the Power Query. All these tools are purely cloud enabled, okay. Even just for your knowledge, I hope most of you are now using, although all of you are well versed with Excel, but now all of you, I hope so, are using Office 2019 or Office 365. Now the main attraction of Office 365 and Office 2019, it is purely cloud enabled. Okay, now if it is purely cloud enabled, it means there is a huge difference between Office 2013 and Office 2016 onwards, and now especially under Office 2019 and Office 365, which is purely cloud enabled. So, and now from the auditor point of view, I hope during the time of each and every audit, auditor is only responsible for three operations: ETL, that is data extraction, data transformation, and finally, after performing analysis, to upload the final report. Now, all these processes are going on 100% cloud enabled. Now, think about if chartered accountant don't have the thorough knowledge that how to communicate with the cloud storage unit, how to communicate with the private cloud, how to communicate with the public cloud, how to communicate with the hybrid cloud. Okay, although security wise, private cloud is highly secured, which consume maximum input cost. Hybrid cloud is a mixture of public and private. Public cloud mostly are available free of cost, but maximum risk. Okay, that's why auditor always advise to implement the private cloud. But if suppose in front of you, I'll give you the scenario practically that these are the three cloud. One is the public cloud, another is the private cloud, another is the hybrid cloud. How many of you are in a position to differentiate? And during the time of audit, while performing analysis, how many of you are in a position to extract data at the same time, same moment, from the physical storage as well as from the cloud storage? And again, now there are three types of the cloud storage. One is the private, another is public, another is hybrid. And now again, whenever we'll think about the analysis, then along with the database server, along with the web server, along with the application server, there is one more container come into the picture. I hope all of you would agree with me. And that container play a very important role, which is known as data warehousing. Because whenever we'll think about the analysis, then I hope all of you would agree with me, we always deal with two type of data. One is the current data, another is historical data. And volume of the historical data is always much more than the volume of the current data. Please just think about, an auditor is responsible for data extraction. Now auditor has not to deal with the homogeneous data. Auditor is not to deal with the one source of the data. Auditor has to deal with heterogeneous data. Auditor has to deal with multiple data storage, and those data storage, some data storage are in-house, some of the data storage are virtual, are the cloud storage, and now this is going to become the challenge. And now the fundamental where you people can play the maximum important role. Please have a look. Although whenever we'll think about the cloud services, then cloud basically offer the three type of services. Okay, that's why I always use the term CSP, that is the cloud service provider. IaaS, that is infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, or software as a service. And at this moment, I hope many of you are well versed as well as agree with my this version. Not globally, even in our country, maximum implementations are going on with respect to software as a service. In software as a service, each and every business organization, they are taking the full infrastructure support. They don't need to worry about to create in-house database storage. They don't need to worry about to create in-house data warehousing. They don't need to worry about to create in-house web server, application server. They don't need to think about that which operating system they have to install. They don't need to think about which type of hardware configuration, because each and every hardware support, each and every software application support would be provided by the cloud service provider. Okay, and organizations are simply paying for the services on demand. Okay, they are means whenever they need or require assistance of a particular software application which is cloud enabled, okay, so they just go to the particular cloud service provider, request for the particular software application, then cloud service provider provide the complete infrastructure which need required with respect to a particular software application. Now that doesn't matter whether the end user, that end user may be a chartered accountant, that end user may be a business owner, is working, is performing the business operation via desktop, via laptop, or via mobile device. Okay, so just paying for the services and avail the services. But here the challenges that is scope for the fraudster, scope for the hacker would also be maximum. And if you just go through the data of last 1 year, since 1st of January 2021 till date, whatever you name it, any business organization anywhere in the country, Kashmir to Kanyakumari, forget about the world, only our country, there is hardly any business organization which is not affected due to the data breach, data stolen. Huge is the size of the business organization, more badly they are affected by the data breach or the data stolen or the cyber fraud. Okay, like United States, we consider that many of the business organizations, they implemented highly effective control to mitigate the risk associated with the data, because each and every organization, they least concern about the network security, the least concern about the hardware security, the least concern about software, the least concern about the user, but they more concern about the data security. And that's why GDPR, as well as in 2019 in our country also, although it is withdrawal last week, data localization policy. Now each and every country is concerned about the data governance. Okay, each and every country is concerned about the data security. So whenever we'll think about here, there is one more emerging area is come into the picture, that is cloud computing security. And this cloud computing security become the emerging area for people like you. Okay, now at this moment, if you just go through the data of last 1 year only, their maximum merger and acquisition, either with respect to the banking, with respect to the insurance, even their maximum acquisition performed by Gautam Adani, whether it is a business related to FMCG, whether the business related to the cement, whether the business is related to airport, whether the business is related to energy sector. Now, what about here? Whenever the merger and acquisition perform, then again the challenge is merger and acquisition of the technology also, that is integration of the technology. Now, before merger and acquisition, two different business organizations, they were already implemented their own independent IS and IT infrastructure. They having their own database server, they having their own cloud infrastructure. Now, after merger and acquisition, again, it become the challenge that how to create. And here, people like you during the merger and acquisition, as well as during the joint venture, play the key role as a consultant, because here we need required the effective control, we need required the effective policy, we need required effective compliance implementation, because many of the business organizations, they are not thorough, they are not well trained, even they having the expert, subject matter expert, the person having the knowledge, that what about the role of the DBA? Okay, person is thorough with the role of the SA, person is thorough with the role of the network administrator. Okay, but they are not aware of the compliance, they are not aware of the controls and the policy. And here you people can play the role of a advisor, okay, and a consultant to implement the effective control. And if suppose parallel, you people can able to provide support in migration of data, like what I mentioned, that many of the business organization, they are planning, some of them some of the business or organization already done, and some of the business organization under the planning phase to migrate their ERP from offline mode to online mode, even to cloud environment. And here again, they need required people like you. Okay. And the another emerging area, that is the big data analytics. Now, there are many things we can discuss, but I think Saurabh is also eagerly waiting, and this is not the daytime because the main challenges before 9 o'clock have to be cover up everything. So if any query, you people can knock me later on, anything in future. If we'll get the opportunity to interact during the real-time workshop, practical workshop, I will like to give you more practical exposure, because more and more hands-on, then more and more concept would be clear. But if any day you people feel like that some of you are thoroughly prepared, you people are keen to, anytime you people can knock, even I'll invite many of you to work onto some of the good projects. And if you people are keen to, thank you. Over to you, Jigar Bhai, as well as Sanjay ji. Yes. Then Saurabh is already paired up. One down batsman, वैसे ही difficult है. Yes.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. Thank you. I mean, I would say that every one of us got a silver the lining, the brief outline, or like how it works, how IT works. One metaphor, sir, I have thought about it, like what machines did to raw material is what probably the computers have done to the data.
My dear, it's simple. Computer in one line, you don't need to. It is simply a DPU. That is the data processing unit.
Yes.
Until unless there is no business, until unless there is no business process, until unless there is no execution of the business process, there is no generation of the data. And if there is no data, then we are not looking for IT support. IT support, we are looking to enhance, improve our productivity, to enhance, improve our efficiency. Like you and me, we are driving a car. Objective is not that you and me want to compete with Lewis Hamilton tomorrow in Formula 1. We want to transport ourselves effectively. That's why. And now earlier we only concern about the car, but now we concern about whether it is a sedan, whether it is a hatchback, whether it is a SUV, whether it is a LUV. Similarly here with respect to the IT also, and need require the consultant.
True, sir. True.
Yes, yes. This is what.
See, sir, in production, okay, so as one machine comes, okay, it gives so much efficiency, effectiveness, okay. Then later on, some improved machine comes. It increases the, productivity of the production. Same way, the new technology, whenever it comes, it directly affects the old one.
That's why we strictly follow the BPR, business process re-engineering.
Right, right.
It is a continuous. Re-engineering means restructuring, redesigning, as well as enhancement into the productivity. And this is basically, I strictly define the one formula, that is more and more CPL, more and more CPI, continuous process of learning, continuous process of improvement. If really you want to survive, especially under the current scenario with technology.
True, sir. True. And if we don't upgrade, okay, like Nokia is the example. Okay, when this Android came, it didn't take it seriously. So, but Android provided much more productivity than the Symbian. So it could not cope and it vanished from the market. Now it is back then, but it is still lagging so behind. So likewise, this we have to learn new things, learn about this, because this is the future. If we don't learn it, if you don't pay attention to it, I think will be probably.
If you can take some of the question from some of the members, that would be great. If you able to, because I am unable to, but if you able to interact with the member even under the offline mode over the chat box, you can take some of the question.
Definitely, sir.
Yeah.
So yes, thank you very much, sir, for presenting us the opportunities available in the cloud computing. Now we have with us Saurabh sir. Okay, so first I would like to introduce Saurabh sir. Sir has done his BA in English Literature and Economics Sir has done his BE in information technology. He has done his MTech in IS, information systems, from IIT Delhi, and also done his MBA in IS management. Sir is an LLB also, so he knows in and out of the law as well. Sir has done his PhD in system development and data analytics for education management. Sir is a director at Wise Consultant and Sarad 3D EdTech Private Limited. Sir is a national trainer and have trained more than 11,000 IS auditors. Sir is also a startup mentor at SGT University. So I think Sir is going to talk about the challenges of the cloud computing. One thing, Sir, I would like to mention here that if we talk about the data, okay, with the technology, there comes the vulnerability. I've seen a movie, Die Hard 4. In that, there is the fire sale. If we see that movie, then we can realize what technology vulnerability has done to a entire country. So I think we would like to hear on this more from you, sir. Over to you, sir. Please
Sure.
guide us.
Thank you, Sanjay sir. Thank you, Suri sir, for enlightening for the basics of opportunities and all. Now the session has been shifted from opportunities to challenges, because wherever there are positive aspects of a technology, there are certain threats and vulnerabilities, and at the same time challenges also that needs to be faced. And as chartered accountants are putting their footprints in and being an IS auditor, being a technical consultant also, obviously you need to be well versed from the challenges perspective as well. And as Nanda sir has already said that this is the time to shift towards the profession from the traditional ways to the tech ways. So I think every session wherein we are talking about technology for chartered accountants, there is a reason behind it, and CS has to look seriously into opportunities and challenges and find out a business profession or probabilities to earn more, to serve more, and to get more for the nation as well. So thank you all for inviting me out here. So our topics begins from the cloud computing challenges. So before getting into this, let me just tell you what exactly is the base for the challenges, what exactly is the base of cloud computing, and how we are heading towards it. So just to brief you up with that, so today it's clouds everywhere. So from Facebook to WhatsApp, from just now we are talking from Zoom platform to any e-commerce platform, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. Fine. So it's a hot topic, and the technologies which are evolving on the rapid basis, the cloud is continuing to get expanded, because that is the only thing to which the services can be made available to the end users in the fastest format. But yes, this ambiguous term seems to be encompasses almost everything about us, while the cloud is just a metaphor of internet. So it's just an expanded terminology and expanded thing which comes up from internet to cloud. So cloud computing is what people are really talking about these days. So we talk about data, we talk about data security, we talk about flexibilities of operations, we talk about improved organizational visibility, we talk about transparency, we talk about improved business process, we talk about extra intelligence for the systems, we talk about higher collaboration between the employees who are working from different locations, from work from home places. Everything is now, what you say, synchronizing to a concept called cloud. So every larger or smaller organization today are talking about cloud environment or trying to implement this cloud environment in some way or the other. So that by default generates an opportunity for chartered accountant, because there are a lot of SMEs in the country right now which are not moving towards clouds, or which are having a kind of hindrance that what needs to be done. So you can act as a catalyst and a consultant to them to give them the right path to enter into this IT format of working, and this clouding becomes the only way for doing it. So now it is clear that cloud trends are here to stay, and the future is for sure depending on the cloud environment. And as Suri sir has already mentioned, Alibaba, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, these are the big players. So we are trying to get into the deeper aspects of all this, and rather than opportunity, we'll talk about challenges. So just to tell you that the cloud market is being changing. So with currently it is almost 370 billion, and it is expanding at 16% CAGR, and it is going to expand up till 2030 in an exponential manner. Fine. So considering all the potentials and developments of cloud computing, which has been undergone in last around few decades or so, there are many roadblocks businesses are facing, and those roadblocks is those challenges, those issues. I have tried to club them all together into 12 basic points. There are 12 roadblocks or 12 challenges which needs to be dealt on, and all these challenges create some opportunities for chartered accountants also to enter into this profession. Telling you all this, I do not want you to get into coding. I do not want to get into chip development or hardware configuration and all. It is just a software usage. Fine, it is just a software usage. So make yourself comfortable with the session. Make sure that you are not taking it more of technical. It is more of implementation part. Fine. So to begin the entire session, I've divided everything into A, B, C, D of the cloud computing. So we'll begin again with some basics of cloud computing. What Suri sir has already said it to you. I'm just trying to add a few words to that. What are the business trends? So that will tell you what is the future of cloud computing. What are the challenges that are faced? And at the end, who is the winner? Winner means whether the cloud is going to stay. That means the challenges are being superimposed by opportunities, or the opportunities are lagging behind in terms of challenges. So we'll conclude at the end, but let's begin with what about the basics of cloud. So cloud is a nothing actually. It is just a combination of hardware, software, processing and storage services over the internet and through remote servers. And those servers can be located anywhere in the world. We as a user are only concerned about our usage part, our data, our processing. I am not bothered about the location of these servers. So these servers are busy for storage, for managing, and for processing data and other services. And other services also include hardware resources, also include storage capacities. Obviously, the data is going to be the crux of it, but where to store and how to process. So that all talks about other services that enables users to expand and upgrade their core competencies. Now, whenever an organization is shifting from their core work to the cloud environment, most of the organization do not set up their clouds. Either they go for public clouding or some sort of hybrid clouding. In that manner, my cost, my core competencies, fine, my areas of concern will more be devoted toward my core work rather than shifting to the IT platform. So whenever I'm using cloud, I'm making sure that there are third parties who are expertise into managing data, resources, services, infrastructure from IT angle. And they are being supportive hand for me. My resources, my mindset, and my work will be focused on my core competencies. So by default, these kind of cloud service providers, as mentioned by Suri sir as well, which are known as CSPs, fine, cloud service providers, they will be taking care of my all IT related part, and I'll be more focused on my core areas. So though the cloud organization computing resources can be availed on demand, so these cloud services are highly scalable as compared to our own systems. They are comparatively secure also as compared to our own servers. So that means if we set up our own servers and all, if we set up our own infrastructure, and on the other side, we are going for cloud. So cloud becomes more scalable, more secure, and more robust as well as compared to our own systems. But saying so does not mean there is always a plus side of it. There are a lot of challenges. But before challenges, let's see what is the business strength of the cloud. So to tell you that, all on premises, that means 100% on premise setting up the infrastructure, IT infrastructure, managing the data resources in-house is just 5% today. Fine. When it comes to some cloud, mostly on premises, it is 32% today. Some on-premise cloud is 46%, and all on cloud is 17%. Correct? By the end of 2023, I'm expecting mostly on the cloud premises has to take the maximum share. Fine. So that is the resources have been shifting over from the common services to the cloud environment. Now, saying so, we need to understand that it's not only the shift which is there. A major part also talks about, my PPT is on the presentation mode. I hope you are able to see that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Fine, sir. Yes,
Fine.
yes.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Fine. So saying so that market is growing, people are shifting to cloud environment, and it is not on premises server, it is majorly shifting to a third party service provider. There are a lot of challenges. As I've already told you, I've divided the entire challenges into 12 basic aspects. So we'll be talking about these 12 things precisely and making sure that with all these 12 aspects, we should come up with some or the other opportunities and these issues must be very well understandable by you all, that these needs to be considered as a key point or as a pain point whenever you are guiding your client towards a cloud environment. And yes, the first and the topmost concern is the security issues. Fine. So like many other branches of technology, security is a pressing concern in the world with the cloud-based computing also. Fine. This becomes even more bigger because the location at which these servers are located, resources are being there, this data has been managed, the processing has been done, is not known to us. So currently, if you talk about, I'm taking you to some facts and figures aspects, 93% of the leading companies in the world are highly concerned about the data breaches issues, about the cloud-centric challenges. That means they have been shifted to cloud or they are in a process of shifting to cloud, but that's a bigger concern. So concern talks about something. Biggest security issue is what? Compromised credentials. That is compromised credentials. So that is individual ideologies, individual credentials like your IDs and passwords, your login credentials, your personalized data. That is, and your organization IP, intellectual property related issues, your formulas, your patents, and all these things. These are the compromised credentials. That's the first biggest concern from security aspects. Another bigger problem is broken authentications. So whenever we are talking about login mechanisms, whenever we are talking about accessing the resources, there happens a scenarios wherein we try to log in, we try to access the resources, but for some other reason, our authentication is not being accepted at that point of time. So those are broken authentications, or as the authentication has been compromised in some other manner. Then comes human errors. Because see, cloud environment does not mean it's all automated. There are certain human involved into setting up the cloud platform, managing the servers, maybe building up the softwares, the installation of the hardwares and all those things. So any human related errors can also be a concern. Fine. Another concern becomes sensitive data breaches. Another concern becomes, which is the biggest of the thing, is that hacking related issues. Fine. Another issue is that hijacking of your credentials, of your accounts, of your data, of your resources. That means, if you summarize in just a single word, security is not that easy to be managed on cloud. Fine. So in the age today, if you talk about, again, another figure for you, people are understanding, or researchers have pointed out that the cyber related frauds and cyber security related issues are going to cost the world somewhere around $11 trillion by the end of 2025. $11 trillion. So that's a huge amount. And I'm talking about 2025. That means just a couple of years down the line. That means security is a big concern. And almost every organization is talking about the control areas. And we can clearly see from this that a lot of posts and a lot of news articles are there being published by authorities, government bodies, and certain research organizations, that one important opportunity with almost all organizations going on a tech side is the cyber security auditor or a security advisor or security implementer on that. Correct. So today, if you talk about IS auditor, so while you're auditing, you have to provide not only the risk areas, you have to tell them what are the security issues, what are the security solutions for them. These solutions can be directly available in the market, or you may have to draft up certain security issues, security solutions for them as well. And when it comes to security solutions, the security solutions can lead to drafting up a security policy, making sure the compliances within the organizations are being strongly implemented, or else drafting up the standard operating procedures as well. So the organization is needing some sort of regulations and standards, no matter where the data is stored. The major aspect is to manage the data. Major aspect is to secure it. Major aspect is to make sure that those are available as and when required. Fine. So keeping your fingers or keeping your pulse in control, this is the most emerging trend available. This is the most emerging opportunity available. But before opportunity, yes, security is a big challenge. So the risk on cloud computing has become a reality for almost every organization who is shifting from servers to a clouding environment. Although the security on your individual system is a bigger concern, but on clouding, it's not that it is 100% safer. Be it a large organization or be it a smaller organization, security is a concern for them. Now, for that, I'll tell you some tools. So if you talk about any BI tools, that is business intelligence cloud enabled tools, fine, which may be Tableau is a tool, fine. You have Microsoft BI as a tool, Oracle is a tool for this. So these tools can be used to analyze the security related issues in a perfect manner, and you will be able to suggest those organizations a comparable, implementable security solution. So yes, security is an issue. Yes, security is a concern. It is going to cost an organization a lot. It is going to cost the world a lot. But on the other side, it creates an opportunity also. And if you map up these two, let me tell you, security on personal server is a bigger concern as compared to security on a cloud environment. Why on cloud the security is to be talked on? Because those are available. The cloud service providers platform is available to almost every user all around the world. It is almost an open platform. The weak service level agreements imposes higher level of security issues. The weaker policies from the availer side, that is from the client side, creates another issues. But these issues are not those issues that cannot be addressed. These can be addressed, but cannot be addressed on a random basis. So some sort of analytical tool, some sort of planned solution is required. And for that, I've already told you, you have Microsoft BI, fine. You have Tableau, you have Google, sorry, you have this Oracle. These all are some sort of BI cloud tools which can help you up in analyzing the security issues and can implement the right controls over them. Now, another bigger challenge comes up with cost management and containment. Now, why this is a challenge? Let me tell you. For most of an organization, everybody wants to go into a modern technological aspect. Everybody wants to head into a better solution from the technological perspective to be implemented as fast as possible in your organization. Now, that creates an imbalance between what exactly you require and what you are heading towards. And there creates another mismatch is that as the cloud service provider has a lot of resources, these are the big trillion-dollar companies. They upgrade their infrastructure, resources, and facilities in a faster mode as compared to you can do that. So there creates a compatibility issues. There creates an over provisioning related issues. So you over provision your requirements and you go end up paying more, end up asking more, whereas you are utilizing less part of it. Let me tell you, my friends, technology and all these facilities, what we are talking about, are not going to inflate with time. With time, these technologies, these services is going to reduce. So analyzing your current requirements and just a 10% more requirements is justified and sufficient enough for that point of time. Do not look forward for 5 years, 10 years down the line from technological perspective. Although there has to be a clause in the agreement that you are signing up with the cloud service provider that the scalability factor is to be considered, and you can, as per your requirements, can mention the clause that you want the extra facilities within few hours, few days, or whatever the timeline suitable for you. But over provisioning at day one is going to have a bigger issue on the cost management part. And what needs to be contained in the service that you are asking from cloud service provider. So those containment must be very much precise as per the current requirements of the organizations and maybe the nearest of the future. Do not talk about 3 year, 5 year, 4 year down the line, because by that time, both the things, your requirements and the technology are going to change, because that is the fastest changing scenarios in the world. So for most of the part, modern computing things needs to be considered, but not over provisioning. So in a cloud, an organization can easily ramp up or easily exceed their processing capabilities without making any large investments. Correct? So putting up a decent clause into SLA is justifies that, and make sure that you are making something like pay as you use mode. It's not like you are paying up for a stable services, although that by default a feature of cloud, but that needs to be included when an organization is signing up with a cloud service provider. This clause has to be there in a service level agreement. So however, there are on demand and scalable services, but the difficulty is you are unable to predict your exact requirements. You are unable to compare the cost scenarios part of it. Now, just to tell you, when you are looking for a cloud service provider, there are multiple options in front of you. It's not only there are few cloud service providers, there are hundreds of service providers. And those service providers needs to be compared specifically as per your requirements, your cost, the points that needs to be included in SLAs and all those things. Now, all those, if considered properly, you will be able to choose the right cloud service provider rather than signing up with someone who is again going to be a dead end for you. Fine. So cost management and containment. Fine. So cost has to be there and containment into SLA has to be taken care of in a very precise manner. Correct. And to this, what an organization in today are looking forward is that they go for multi-cloud related issues. Now tell me what multi-cloud is. So rather than you relying on a single cloud for your entire zero to infinite services, you can look for multi-cloud. And those multi-cloud can scatter your resources, can scatter your work as well. And if something goes off at one point of time or some server is not able to provide your services, then rather than you looking forward for another cloud from grassroots level, you have already using that cloud services, you can shift over or migrate from one cloud to another cloud. Although that migration is not that easy part, but still keeping multiple engine options or keeping multi-cloud related issues is a new trend in the market. And to tell you, there is a company which is surveying it out on the regular basis. They have stated that around 32% of the large organizations in the world are looking for multi-cloud processing facilities and multi-cloud securities and multi-cloud storage rather than depending on one particular cloud service providers. Okay, fine. So third point that needs to be taken is the lack of resources and expertise. That is within the organization or maybe within your reach. Today, as organization are planning to shift. Now, the planning part has to be done or is majorly done by the corporate body, the topmost, the governing body of an organization. What hinders and what stops them in moving is the expertise and the resources available within the organization. That resources may be manpower resources, technological resources. You are unable to map up what the service provider is offering and what you are able to get it. So for this, a right training aspects, acquiring right expertise within the organizations, making sure you are mapping up the the skills of an individual with respect to a requirement is something which is very important. Fine. So small and mid-sized organizations are facing this problem on a major side because larger organizations have the capabilities to hold these resources to create the expertise or maybe to acquire the expertise. But when it comes to small organization, it becomes a challenge. So luckily, many common tasks performed by these small organizations or maybe resources can be availed on consulting basis from the outside. Fine. So as soon as I'm talking about consulting basis, I'm talking about opportunities for chartered accountant. So you can be a kind of expertise to train, to acquire the right resources, to map up the right resources, or maybe to train the resources in such a manner that the organization in-house manpower and in-house tools can be used specifically for the cloud. That means you are acting as an integrator for them, correct? So that for using that, you need to understand what are DevOps tools, fine, what are chefs and what are puppet related tools, which helps you up in mapping up the resources and expertise in the right manner. And using these platforms will create a backup, will create a time periods, you will be able to optimize the cloud cost, governance and security aspects in the best possible manner, even though you are spending less. So mapping up the resources, creating the expertise within the organizations and making sure those things need not to be always in-house because smaller organization will not be able to bear the cost. So outside means an opportunity for chartered accountants, right? Another bigger challenge which creates another bigger opportunity or maybe something which is from my perspective and I myself involved into it is governance and control aspects. Now, let me tell you, when an organization is planning to shift to cloud environment or trying to go into an automation part, whether it is a robotic process automation, whether IoT implementation or whether AI-based implementation. Policies, the process of governance, the process of standardizing the entire mechanism in the organization is a bigger concern. Because whenever it is technology, obviously it has to be handled in a specific and a predefined manner strongly. But what is being lacking in most of the organization is a documented procedures and documented policies. Fine. Just to tell you one small example, being in a startup mentor, there are a lot of organizations, there are a lot of startups which are coming into market. And those organizations are started by some young entrepreneurs within the age of 20, 25, 30 and also. They are more curious about technology. They are more curious about getting the market on the right time. They are more curious about launching their product and services in the right manner. But what they are lacking in the back end is the governance aspect of it, the control aspect of it. So just to tell you, this is an increased problem to provide the right governance, right compliance, and risk-related architecture. Fine. And this creates, again, another opportunity, because you by default are aware about the legal terminologies. You are aware about the SOPs formation. You are aware about the compliances part of it. And you know what is to be there at the cloud end as well, if you are well versed with the clouding platforms. Correct. So mapping up again the cloud service providers requirements or the standards with respect to the governance aspects within the organization, within the client, and making sure the right controls aspects are implemented from the policy perspective, from the practices perspective, fine, from maybe standard procedures perspective. That is a progressive demand. That's a progressive opportunity. Correct. So missing governance and control aspects is the major challenge. And fulfilling up again creates an opportunities for you. Now tell me any doubts, any queries in these 4 aspects. If you have, I'm open enough to talk, or maybe if you have some queries, we can discuss that as well. Okay, just hold on. I think I have. Just hold on. Wait. Okay, I hope it's now visible. Now, another bigger challenge is the compliances part. Now, as Suri sir has already mentioned, the data security and compliances related issues are there in the country. And just a week before, the Data Protection Act, the Personal Data Protection Act, which was released in 2021, only is completely withdrawn. From my angle, the withdrawal part is because there are a lot of changes that needs to be done into it. There are a lot of issues which have recently been discovered from it. So rather than amendment it becomes completely vague enough to do that. So they are trying to come up with a better and maybe the more enhanced related part. But saying so, one of the biggest risks in the cloud computing today is the compliances part. Now, this is an issue for everyone using the cloud for backup services, for storage. Fine, because every time a company moves data from your internal storage to the cloud, they are facing a problem of compliances, because data security, data breaches, whether it is PCI DSS related issues, whether it is health related HIPAA issues, or whether it is Personal Data Protection Act, whatever. But yes, it's a challenge. So depending upon the sectors and requirements, see, from insurance to personal to banking to e-commerce platform, every organization has to ensure that they are fulfilling the basic standards which are carried out, which are being prevailing, which are being making their organization on a safer side as compared to any legal suits. So this is one of the many challenges the cloud faces, which is what? Compliances part. Okay, so customer have to look forward. So customer means the individual users have to look forward on the cloud service provider, whether they have been fulfilling the compliances which are implemented or which are applicable at that point of time, and check whether they are fulfilling the regulatory aspects and standards within them or not. So again, mapping those things is an opportunity for chartered accountants, all those who are looking for IS auditor or cloud related aspects of the profession. Because see, as a user, as a company, as an organization, I might not be able to map up these. I do not know about what the compliance is part of it. I am not aware about how to map the compliance with respect to the cloud service provider features, facilities and all. So mapping up those things and finding out the right cloud service provider for your customer is another big opportunity. So those vendors, those service providers need some sort of certification, some sort of guidelines, some sort of regulatory requirements. So those need not to be known by me as a user. These are known to you as a chartered accountant, as a regulatory support, or as an individual who knows about a lot of business prevalences and all. So mapping up those things create an opportunity. But yes, compliances and implementing right compliance at the right time is not that easy task, because they keep on changing. And today, when the technological aspects are fastly changing, government is trying to change the compliances and laws on the regular basis. And this can be seen because there was a Data Protection Act in 2019. and suddenly there was in 2021, which is completely been removed right now. And now for sure, I am expecting something to come up immediately in the next parliamentary session as well. Fine. Now, as I have already told you just a minute before that today multiple organizations look forward for multi-cloud platforms. Now, multiple cloud platforms are easy to say, but harder to manage. Now, why I am saying so? Because organizations do not have kind of interoperabilities of each other. Fine. So, although larger organization, if you talk about, I've already told you, 80% of the larger organizations have multi-cloud facilities. And what they are using is that they are devoting one of the services to one cloud, one services to another cloud. So maybe client-related issues to one, channel partner-related things and things to another cloud, maybe data management to another cloud, maybe backup or business continuity-related aspects to another cloud. So they are making sure that they do not hold up to one particular cloud service provider for all the services. They are diverting or distributing their resources and services to different clouds. But biggest aspect is to manage those, right? Because managing different cloud means that becomes another load on your own company's IT department. Fine. And these services can be outsourced by a chartered accountant. These services, you can be a kind of one point connect for managing multiple cloud service providers for your multiple clients. Fine. Because rather than they doing it in-house with the limited capacities, you can do it for multiple clients within your own capacities as well. So those challenges which are there for an individual person can create a bigger or a better opportunity for you. Fine. So some of the best thing that can be done is this. You can find out a multi-management specialist. Fine. You can find out some technical people within your organization who can create this kind of best merger model or a best hybrid model wherein multiple services can be taken from multiple cloud service providers. You can create your own protocols. You can create your own management styles and guidelines, and those can be implemented through you for your multiple clients by multiple cloud service providers. So you become a kind of central integral hub sort of thing, wherein client approaches to you and you provide a seamless, well-crafted, well-articulated solution to your clients, whereas you are taking all the resources, all the services from the cloud service providers in a very efficient, cost-effective manner, and this creates another revenue-generating opportunity for you as well. So one size fit all does not suit here, but you can create different size for different users in their own manner. Correct? Next bigger challenge is performance. Now, why performance is a challenge, guys? Reason: every company or every organization do not need all facilities, all resources at one point of time. As you know that even government of India, when the taxation filing is there, although it was open enough from April, May, June, but obviously on the last days, the server capacity needs to be enhanced, or maybe they need to add on certain extra facilities and extra performance related things so that all those returns can be filed up on the last date, because that's a tendency. That means on certain specific days, you need higher performance. On a regular day, you do not need that or that level of performance. So managing the performance or making sure that whenever the high traffic is there, the resources can be devoted. Whenever there is a low traffic, the resources can be taken away. And yes, we have already said pay as you use mode. So you are paying more when the services are available more, and you are not paying when the services are not there for you. But how to manage those performance, how to make sure, or how you are able to predict where your performance aspects are more, when you need more, and which particular server and service provider can get you those services. Again, not an easy task. So when an organization moves to a cloud, they are more dependent on the cloud service provider. Fine. They feel like they are the whole soul resource provider. We don't have to worry on it. That's create the challenge, because those service providers also have a limited capacity to expand. So nevertheless, this partnership, which is between you and the cloud service providers, often provide business with innovative technologies that wouldn't otherwise be able to. So that means, so you can have those extra services as well, which you might not be able to procure within your own capacities, within your own system. That means rather than having what you need, you are having something which is extra, which is added on to your services. But performance aspect becomes a challenge, and for which right mapping of the resources, right matching up of your timeline with the resources is something which is a challenge. Fine. So this is very common within all service provider, because flexible requirements are there. It is not like seamless or streamlined requirements. and real-time modification is required. And when it comes to real-time, you cannot have all the things real-time to be done within your own organization capacities. Fine. So with more of multi-cloud facilities, this even becomes tougher to manage multiple performance from multiple cloud service providers in a synchronized manner and delivered to an individual. Fine. So with this particular aspects, again, you can be an auditor for them first to analyze when their performance is increasing, when they need more, when the cloud service provider have to exceed their performance, which particular cloud service provider can expand the services on the real-time basis, or maybe with the minimum information, with the prior information. So mapping up those things can be your role. So I am always talking about you as a mediator. Find you as an integrator of those services between the SMEs, because larger organization may not need that. They have a dedicated resources within your organization. But when it comes to SMEs, all those who are looking for cloud as a bigger platform for them, they cannot have all the facilities, all the resources, all the expertise within their own organization. So you becomes a resource integrator for them. Correct? Now, another bigger challenge, which is the 8th challenge I have stated, is the building up a private cloud platform. Now, let me tell you, although every organization is looking forward for data security, highest performance on its own, dedicated resources, that means private cloud is on cards. But setting up a private cloud is not that easy task. Every organization wants something, but it's not practically possible for them to implement. So although building a private ecosystem isn't a top priority of an organization, but still they feel like if it is possible for them, why not have a private cloud? Because that erases a lot of data related issues, a lot of performance related issues, because your own server, your own capacity, your own infrastructure, some issues are by default eliminated. But on the other side, managing that hardware, making those scalable facilities available within your organizations, making sure you are having your own hardware team and networking team to ensure those seamless services, depending on your own business continuity plan, not again an easy point. But yes, creating an internal and private cloud is a significant benefit, but whether it is justified for the organization, what facilities and services are required, what is the cost, what is the expansion possibilities, all those areas of challenges which are related to private cloud are a pain point. And you can expect an organization which is into manufacturing, which is into pharmaceutical, may not be knowing about all these problematic aspects. So you can come up with a checklist. You can come up with an auditing part. You can come up with certain, again, BI related tools, business intelligence tool, to identify their requirements in a specific manner and suggest to them whether the private cloud is suitable at this point of time or maybe in the gradual course of time. What is the cost? What is the benefit? And can go with a cost benefit analysis to tell them that whether it's a public cloud suitable for them or a private cloud. Whatever it is, your judgment and your opinion plays a very important role for them. Correct? Fine. So that is another bigger problem, which is building up a private cloud. Almost everybody wants, but nobody knows how to go for it. Nobody knows how to integrate the resources. Nobody knows how to expand, how to tackle a lot of challenges out of it, because that's not their core competency. You can build up that core competency and can put your shoes into a profession, put feet into the shoes wherein this particular profession becomes a lucrative option for you. Now, tell me, I'm sure that you all are belonging to cities wherein some sort of SME groups or small scale industry associations are there. Mid-size organizations are already being flourishing all around the world, all around the country, and they have been boosted by government and authorities as well. Why not you find out some certain chunk of individuals or maybe 5-10 different SMEs and can support or can provide them the cloud service on your own? So you can be a SaaS service provider, you can be a cloud integrator, you can be a resource acquirer for them, you can be a consultant for getting into tech development, you can be a kind of auditor for making sure that services are available, the security at the lowest part, the scalability is on the highest part, the performance is to be impacted as demanded. Correct?
Sir.
Yeah, please.
Do we have to do any certification course or that can help us?
See, although There are a lot of certifications available for cloud, but my point is that before going for any certification, let's understand the basic technological aspects for it. Let's understand the basic concept of the entire part of it. Because see, you cannot put your footprints directly into this profession from day one onwards. You have to understand. So for understanding, certification is just a tag with you. My basic part is to avail the knowledge more than certification. So you should look forward for certain use cases. That's the most important thing I prefer, and I recommend to anyone that look forward for certain ready available use cases, scenarios in the market. Let's understand what the technology is providing. Let's understand what AWS, Azure, Google platforms are providing, and let's compare those facilities. Let us have more of knowledge rather than certification.
Right.
And when the certification is required, I will tell you which is most relevant. So AWS has their own cloud service provider certification. Microsoft has their own cloud service provider certification. But getting one certification will give you a kind of very knowledge. Understand which particular platform is the most suitable platform for the type of client you are serving, and then go for certification.
Right, sir.
Okay. Right. Fine. Now another set of challenges, which is the last set of challenges, is segmented usage and adoptions. Now let me tell you a brief of it first. So most organizations do not have a robust cloud adoption strategy. Fine, they are not concerned about, or they have not drafted the entire strategy that how they are moving from their own server based or in-house platform to a cloud platform. They just randomly go for it. Now that randomization approach is going to create the biggest challenge for them, because there is no straightforward, or a timeline related strategy. So segmented usage, they use something, they do not use something. They adopt something from the cloud for something that depend on their own servers. Today, most of the organizations do not shift from their own infrastructure to cloud on day one. It's a gradual shift over. Gradual means they do something out there. Similar things are being done at the cloud platform as well. But when both the things are provided for them, what is easily available, what they are comfortable, and what is habitual of doing is their in-house servers. So whenever both facilities are being there, and wherever there is no timeline which is being set for shifting from personal infrastructure to the cloud service provider, it becomes a challenge. And that challenge is creating biggest issue, because you are paying for something, you are not availing those facilities. Your users are not shifting, not ready to shift. The reason, they are not either trained, they are not relying on it, or maybe the services are not being very well mapped up. Correct? So most organizations do not have this particular robust cloud adoption strategy, which I am talking about. So instead, going ad hoc, there has to be a kind of fueled approach. Fueled means a guided approach. So one of them is a kind of systematic cloud consultant approach. Correct? So this cloud migration, shifting from a gradual process or a gradual shifting from your server to a cloud platform has to be defined. What can be shifted immediately? What needs to be done with the time? When something should be shifted, it has to be shifted in a phased manner. So phase one has been shifted. Now the user have to be forcefully using this phase one related things from the cloud service provider, and another thing can be done from the local server. After 1 month or whatever the time when you said, you shift another phases to the cloud. So this has to be done. And these systematic approaches will give you more seamless shift to cloud, more comfortable and confident shift to cloud. Any ad hoc, any random thing is not suggested and should not be adopted as well. Whereas most of the organization, when it comes to small and medium size, they are doing so. Why? Let me tell you why I'm focusing on SMEs. It is very clear, because those are available in almost all areas, all cities, all towns in the entire country. Whereas larger organizations are not. Larger have their own capacity to build up their resources, whereas SMEs are dependent on certain consultants. I am looking forward for a bigger opportunity for you. Fine. So cloud migration has to be systematically been done. This has been a survey conducted by an organization called India SMEs as well. They have surveyed somewhere around 6,160 SMEs. Out of those, only 3% have responded that they have a optimized strategy for shifting to cloud environment. 97 have said they are not having that. Fine, they are not having a strong governance, they are not having strong policies, they are not having strong timeline, they are not having adoption strategies for cloud, they are not having BCP strategies, business continuity planning strategy with respect to cloud service provider. That means if these are missing, that means the shift over is just a fascinated shift over, and they are not in a, what do you say, planned manner. Correct? So with the next year, next 5 year down the line, if I'll talk about from today or maybe 7 years to talk about 2030, I've already told you the market is going to be a bigger market. And this bigger market have to be catered specifically. And just to tell you, engineers are not capable of doing so, or else are not inclined toward doing so. Because we as an engineer are more focused from technological perspective. We are more fascinated for development, not the usage part. The usage part is a user-centric thing, is a push approach. So for that push approach, you can act as a catalyst for that. Next 5 years, 7 years down the line, this is going to be a biggest opportunity to work as a catalyst for migrating SMEs from their own in-house working to a more robust, more opportunistic, more secure, more scalable clouding environment. Fine. But as I've told you, migration is not that easy task. Fine, migration is a challenge because one of the biggest migration is the data migration. So as Suri sir has already talked about a lot of data related thing, I'll just tell you data migration creates the data or put up the data into most vulnerable thing. Fine, so let me give you a brief of migration first. So this is one of the challenges which has been created in recent year when an organization is shifting from their in-house to a clouding platform. So this particular is a process of shifting the business processes from in-house to cloud platform. So although moving is a not new thing, organization keeps on moving from one office to another, fine, from one production plant to another production plant, but that is their core work, that's their core competencies, because they know how to shift. They have researched on it. They have done a seamless work and they have been expertise into doing so. But when it comes to IT related part, organizations are just fascinating. They are just following a trend, which is known as bhed chal. We normally say that, okay, Adani and Ambani are doing so, Tata and Birlas are doing so, or maybe our nearest competitor is doing so. Why not us? But us means how? That how is not known to them. Fine. So many leading organizations are currently in a process of migrating either the application or the data or the processing or the business continuity aspects. But the question is how to migrate. The budget of migration, the deadline of migration, the process of migration, the challenges in migration, the data vulnerabilities in migration have not been considered specifically. Fine. So now what needs to be done? Before going into the real-time environment of migration, you have to look forward for extensive troubleshooting techniques. You have to understand the cyber challenges. You have to understand the data migration related process. You cannot migrate the data from zero to infinite all at once. You have to go in a systematic manner. That systematic plan has to be defined in advance. And whenever you are defining, it's not like cut and migrate. It has to be copy and migrate. Now, when I'm talking about copy, that means a copy of the data has to be kept, or an image of data has to be kept before you shift over to the migration part. Make sure that your migrated data has been completely migrated, is reliable, is authenticated, is been approved. Then only you remove the original copy for it. Fine. So it has to be slow data migration, not an overnight data migration. You can look forward for certain application downtime. Fine. You may have to, because whenever you are moving from one platform to another platform, there can be some downtime. That downtime must be pre-informed, pre-intimated to all your clients. Because see, today, smallest of the downtime, even in the banking sector, can create an havoc. Because today we are by default inclined toward 24/7 availability of facilities. We are not here for 9 to 7 working. We are not looking forward for banking, insurance, or railways to work from morning 6 to 8 or whatever the timeline. Today we are looking for 24/7. So any application downtime, any services downtime can create an havoc. So this needs to be informed to the desired or concerned clients and individuals in a precise manner, and then it has to be done within that timeline. Suppose you are doing for downtime at the late night hours between maybe 11 p.m. to midnight. That is the timeline. But as soon as the midnight overs, maybe plus minus 2-3 months, your services must be made available. Fine. then you have to make sure that there has to be a complete mapping of resources. What is to be done when, and then sequentially what has to be followed. It's not like today we are doing this, then we are doing second thing, then we are doing third thing. No, it has to be sequentially managed. Correct? Then you have to make for that cost optimization part. You cannot run parallel facilities, and you should not. Cost optimization can only happen when you are eliminating one, shifting to this cloud platform, or maybe doing something on their own platform and not migrating cloud. Managing two services, two platforms at the same time is not a good choice. So cost optimization, the migration is something which is another challenge. And again, just to tell you, 51% of the businesses have responded in the survey conducted that they have faced a challenge. They will be facing a challenge, they know it, for migration. It's only 49% of the organization who says that we are well planned. We might be able to shift over to cloud platform in a very systematic manner. That means that is a presumption for them. 51 have already agreed that yes, SMEs, I'm talking about SMEs, 50% of the SMEs have already agreed out of 6160 surveyed SMEs that yes, we are going to face a problem and we know for it. And when they are knowing it, obviously there has to be a resource integrator. There has to be a solution provider. There has to be a catalyst like you who can just pamper them and make sure, no, I am there for you for a systematic, streamlined, flawless migration from your internal to a clouding platform. Correct? Another thing or bigger problem, or maybe 11th problem, is what? Portability. As I have already told you that organizations are looking for multi-cloud. Fine. So portability is between multiple clouds. Interoperability between these clouds is not that easy thing, because everybody or every cloud service are working on different platform, different protocols. They have their own different security aspects, and managing multiple things simultaneously within the organization, or maybe training the users for all those multiple platforms is a challenge. So that is what you say the next big roadblock. So when organization scales or expand, fine, their intangible IT ecosystems, one of the biggest problems which comes up is interoperability or portability from shifting to one cloud platform to another. So when a business switches to a newer platform, there is a lockdown period by default. Fine. So during this, the productivity can stop. During this particular lockdown, the resources cannot be given. The client may not be having the right services. The channel partners are facing the problem. So a safe and fluent migration, or a safe and reliable interoperability and portability is what is required. So you have to understand that which cloud service provider is able to provide what facilities, and we should be relying on those facilities only for that particular cloud service providers, and we should not bombarding for everything on a cloud, on a single cloud platforms. And secondly, whenever you are, suppose you are shifting from Azure to Amazon or Amazon to Azure, whatever, you know what are the problems that can be faced, and this can only be known when you have already compared these two platforms. So I've already told you, it is not a certification which is important. For me, the knowledge part plays a very important role. So understanding the service providers, understanding the platforms, understanding the client needs, understanding the prevailing issues in the market will give you a clear-cut picture. And if some of your clients come up, no, I want to shift over from Amazon to Azure, then you know what is the shifting or transfer or what do you say, gradual migration mechanism. So how portable these platforms are. Or maybe you can say that, no, rather than shifting from X to Y, we suggest you shift from X to Z, because Z is more nearest to what the services you are having and give you the best seamless migration. Correct? So those interoperabilities, those portabilities is something that creates again an opportunity for you all. Then the last problem or issue is reliability and availability. So whenever you are shifting to cloud platforms, one important thing or one important aspect which you always think forward for is what? Cloud is available for 24/7. But no, it's not so. They also face a certain downtime. They also face a certain issues of their own. They also face a certain challenges in their own infrastructure facilities. They have to upgrade. Fine. They have some limitations also. So availability can only be ensured, fine, when a sound SLA has been drafted, a right combination of cloud service provider has been chosen for. Correct? So as we migrate towards the clouding age, 94% of the business are going to shift within next 5-7 years from their own system to the clouding platform. And as they shift, the important concern for them is the availability, because see, more the load, more the problems. Today, the cloud service providers are robust because they are not handling every business operations. 5 years, 7 years down the line, if they handle 94% of the business transactions and operations, for sure, the load will be on the cloud service providers. Fine. So as soon as the load increases, the two challenges: reliability, because the security becomes already an issue, and availability will be there. So they have to keep on increasing their facilities. They have to keep on increasing their infrastructure and hardware assets and processing assets and storage services. Correct? So shaping up the cloud platform, so choosing up the right shape of cloud platform for making sure the availability and the reliability of the services are there is going to be a challenge. And this challenge will more enhance because the cyber related issues, if I'll talk about hacking, if I'll talk about viruses, ransomware, these are growing at an exponential rate. Because today, almost every technical person knows that 10 years, 15 years down the line, the biggest challenges that can be imposed on an organization can be from IT perspective. So you stop the IT services and you demand the ransom. You stop the IT services and devalue those organizations. You can defame those organizations as well. So as today also, every time there has to be some issues, hacking happens, government servers goes down, there are certain data related breaches issues. Even the Facebook, if you talk about biggest of the pharma companies, have in last around 5-7 years, or maybe last around couple of years only, have faced a lot of hacking, data compromise issues and all. And if those like Facebook, like Google, like Unacademies, fine, like Baiju, they have faced these problems, and you can look forward for internet. Yes, their data breaches. Yes, their server down. Yes, their data leakage happens. And when they cannot withstand this issue, how can a small SMEs organization will be able to do that? So yes, reliability and availability is a challenge. But these can be addressed in a very perfect manner, very nice manner, if you are finding out the right blend of services. If you know what needs to be done, if you know what needs to be checked before making a particular cloud service provider as your third-party service provider, right? So due to the broadening of these modern platforms, making the more computer-centric ecosystem, an increasing number of companies are relying on these third parties. So the problem with these third parties is round-the-clock services, right? Is 24/7 availability of data, is making sure processing are being done on the real-time basis. Now, let me tell you a few examples for it. You recall those times when you have to go for railways ticketing in the year 2005, 6, 7 or so. You never feel like the tickets have been made on the right time. You always say no, server down. You always put a question on IRCTC's reliability, whether the payment gateways are smooth or not. Whether the tickets, sometimes it happens is that your amount get deducted and you are not getting the tickets done. Sometimes it happens that tickets are showing the payment process is being known to you, but still the server is so slow. You keep on waiting. But today, are you facing those problems? This year on 31st, when there was a complete load and government has already decided, the ministry has already decided they're not going to increase the deadline for tax filing. Still, it was not a biggest problem that servers are not responding. Fine, by 8 p.m., which was the last time, servers was completely responding. Although there are slight small hiccups, but more or less it is almost 95% of the availability was there. So we have moved a long way from 2004-5 till today. Fine, when it comes to tax filing online to today's tax filing, when it comes to insurance online to today's, when it comes to ticketing online in 2005 today, when you're talking about reliability of online payment gateways at that point of time today, it has been a complete shift over. And today the acceptability from you, me and a common user is much on a higher side because the reliability has increased, because the availability has increased. But this process needs to move on. So making sure reliability and availability for IRCTC, banks, IRDA is easy, but for SMEs, it's not. And they do not know the intricacies for it. They do not know the technicalities for it. So due to the broadening of these services, due to the computing centric ecosystems, even SMEs are now going to shift over from their own infrastructure to the cloud, which I'm repeating multiple times. I'm just saying that reliability and availability for them is not that easy thing. So yes, you can play a very important role in ensuring that reliability and availability services for them. So this was the 12 major issues which I've tried to clubbed up in a systematic manner, try to give them some nomenclature and all, and present it in front of you as the challenges. With every challenges, I have told you there is an opportunity. So at the end, who wins? Yes, the cloud still wins. So there is no secret that cloud computing is revolutionizing the IT industry. It is no challenge in that. It is also shaking up the business intelligence landscapes, because more the data, better the information. Most relevant real-time analytics can be done with the help of clouding platforms, because your server, your own computers will not be able to process the data for 100 years, but the cloud is by default made for it. Your system may not withstand the data for 100 years, but cloud storage is made for doing so. That means better business intelligence, better data analytics, better processing facilities, 24/7 availability of services, high scalability related issues can be ensured through service providers or cloud service providers. So as adoption exponentially grows, fine, for startups and mid-sized organizations that cannot afford costly servers, that cannot afford their maintenance, that cannot ensure the overnight scalabilities, cloud is the only solution for them. I have already briefed you what are the 12 major issues. I have given you a kind of IT roadmap as well, which needs to be done. But for this, what you have to do is have a knowledge from multiple cloud service providers, for multiple issues, from multiple angles, and create your own business intelligence. Fine, and try to be the first, a catalyst or a consultant or a resource integrator in your own areas, in your own expertise. And just to tell you, suppose you might be a place wherein there are a lot of stone exporters. You might be at a place where there are a lot of textile industries. You might be at a place where there are a lot of, miners. Fine. That means for every organization, there's a different need. So rather than you giving all solutions to all, make yourself comfortable enough with a particular type of industry. So for that industry, you becomes the one point of solution for them. So in the entire city, if somebody says, I am a textile manufacturer, fine, I need a cloud related solution for my operations, who have to consult for, maybe person X is the one who deals in that, because you are expertise into that particular segment. You have analyzed their requirements, their future trends, the best suitable cloud for them, and you can make up an ideal match for it. Fine. Yes, to make the best out of the new age in IT facilitation and overcome potential roadblocks, you should take a strategic initiative approach when it comes to implementing your system. So explore hybrid cloud. Try to be a SaaS partner for organization. Try to understand the checklist approach for implementing a cloud. Try to have your own list of risks and challenges and a respectable solution for them. Try to make sure you have your own auditing ideologies and auditing methodologies for a service provider. And if all is there, I think certification is just an exam away for you. You can have any certification anytime if you are having the right blend of knowledge and expertise within your capacities. Right now, I am open for questions from any one of your side. Or maybe if you want to discuss more, I can tell you what is the difference between, although Suri sir has already explained what is the IaaS, PaaS and SaaS cloud, what is private clouding and public clouding and all. But still, I am open enough for questions, queries, discussions from your side, how to grab an opportunity, what are the parameters to be looked forward for. So open platform for you all.
Sir, one question is there.
Yeah, please.
We are not going for this certification straight away. Okay. But if we see, there are so many free materials available on the internet. That is the YouTube. Nowadays has very good knowledge, are very good knowledge sharing platforms. So are there any YouTube channels or something which you can recommend that can help us enhance our knowledge? See, we understand outline, we understand, but in detail we just lag behind.
For sure, Sanjay. Let me tell you. See, if I'll name few, it can be a kind of I am marketing those platforms, but I'll be very honest for this all. So there are multiple platforms which are. See, IT Masters is a platform.
Okay.
I'll tell you the challenges of these platforms as well. Fine, I'll tell you the challenges. IT Masters is a platform. Coursera is a platform. Simply Learn is a platform. Fine. Edureka is a platform. Fine. But my suggestion is you go with these two, not these. Reason being, by default, 99% of the Indian professionals are not comfortable understanding or listening any lecture in US and UK accent. We are not so sound enough. At the same time, we are unable to grab everything, whatever they want to tell, because their accent and their throughput is something very different. I suggest you to shift over to a platform which is more Indianized platform. So Simply Learn or Edureka. These are the two platforms which can give you ample knowledge which is required at the base level or maybe at the mediator level as well, free of cost to be a bit sure. But whenever you are availing those facilities, I always recommend do not only rely on the video part. Always have some sort of documentation in front of you. Always have some sort of real-time case studies. So for me, the right blend of solution for you for availing the right knowledge is to have some sort of video sessions plus some sort of reading material. And last, and the most important thing is that some sort of case studies. Because see, until unless you see the applied knowledge part of it, just reading it out from the books or maybe just seeing a video sessions is not going to serve the entire purpose. So for me, first go for this, then read so that you have something to mark, something to understand, and then make sure whether this particular aspect, whatever you have learned, is being rightly applied or not. If it is rightly applied, all these three things systematically implemented as a step 1, step 2, and step 3 is the right blend for understanding the real-time scenarios. And make sure whenever you are going forward for case studies, make sure it has to be not more than 10% of foreign, 90% should be a kind of domestic case studies. Right? Because everywhere the scenarios are different, everywhere the requirements are different. And you, as you are consulting to somebody from Indian origin, make sure your case studies are to be Indian origin, and that right blend is give you the right knowledge which is required for market. And then just certification is just a document for you. And I'll tell you, or maybe Suri sir will be able to tell you what are the different certifications. So Microsoft has its own Azure certification for cloud platform. iOS has their own cloud platform certification. Then you have AWS. Fine, then you have Google certifications as well. But which to be gone for, or maybe which is most relevant? I do not recommend you to go for certification at phase 1. This is something that needs to be done after getting the right knowledge, after understanding what is most suitable. Then that certification will be added on to your facilities. Right, Sanjay ji?
Right, sir.
Yeah.
Nowadays, if we see on Facebook, there are many courses also available. Like in $399 and very reasonable price, they give a very good small courses also, 7 days workshop kind of thing. That I think.
But see, I personally recommend first to go for knowledge, and these workshops can give you hands-on knowledge. But real-time workshops or maybe physical interaction is more beneficial than virtual interactions.
Right.
So virtually, if you connect to me, Sanjay ji, I will give you at least 10 different case studies, 10 different video sessions which are relevant typically from clouding perspective. Right. And that is sufficient enough for you to phase 1. Then only the quest will arise. And once the quest is there, you do not need any of us. You yourself are professional enough that what needs to be searched, how is to be filtered, and what is the right thing. Because that level 1 which is there required for a push, we are already trying to go for it. We are there helping out for that.
Right, sir.
Yeah, Suri sir. Sanjay ji, the platform is now all yours. If you have any other queries and questions to ask on, I'm open, because I was more inclined towards discussion part, because when it comes to one-way ideology, this has already been available on any platform as well.
Right, sir. No, but this session actually really helped us. The way you explained it. Okay, it was really it changes our paradigm. Like that we as a chartered accountant can also contribute to the IT part, and we have to at a today or later date, but we have someday. We have to do it. So that is the main, I think, the theme that you both of you presented to us, and gave us a new perspective.
Sanjay ji, it is actually the sooner you start, the better you end up.
True.
So I am actually based out at Kota, Rajasthan. You might be aware about the city.
Right. It is very
right. So yeah. So here we feel like if you need to nurture the talent, you have to identify the talent and capabilities at the early stage. So although it is not that right time, but still we try to find out the IITians and rankers at 6 standards, 7 standards, and try to nurture them to that next level. So the earlier you start, the better results you can get. So as you rightly said, that if not now, then maybe a couple of years, 5 years down the line, you have to shift over, and that can be a forceful shift. Today it could be a willingness shift, right?
Very true, sir. Very true. Yes.
Yeah, Suri sir, anything you need to add on? We have another 10-15 minutes timeline, and with Suri sir, time is always shorter. Fine. With Suri sir, time is always less.
No, not like this. But let me just include some more things. If people are keen to, like, even if suppose in future you are looking to expertise into the blockchain, you want to expertise into the Hadoop, those which are the emerging areas, because now till date, like during my session also, like I mentioned that till date, most of the business organizations are enabled with ERP, and under the ERP, we are using centralized database server. Okay. And now with the cloud computing as well as with the blockchain, now we are shifting to the new database environment, that is the distributed. Okay. As well as the column database, as well as the graph database. And now here the cloud computing is playing a very key role, because the type of infrastructure which we need required to implement the blockchain database, the type of infrastructure which we need required to implement the Hadoop infrastructure, which is under the master slave, where we need required multiple database servers, because the single database server unable to fulfill the requirement. Because like verbally it looks very easy that State Bank of India now from the multiple unit is now converted into the single unit. PNB, United Bank of India, Oriental Bank of Commerce is converted into the single unit. Bank of Baroda plus Vijaya Bank plus Dena Bank converted into the single unit. But the challenge when we're going to integrate the technology, because before merging, PNB having its own database server, second largest bank in the country, before merging, Mehul Choksi, Nirav Modi already performed the scam. Okay, now just think about, after merging, there is a more opportunity for the fraudster, for the hacker. So we need required more effective control. We need required more effective policy. We need required more effective compliance. And here, without brain of the chartered accountant, we are unable to perform this. Similarly, now into the big data analytics, where we are effectively using, along with the Hadoop database, we are using the HANA, we are using Power BI, we are using Tableau for the data visualization purpose. And again, without cloud computing, and again, without effective security policy, without performing the effective risk assessment at each and every level, like at the network level, there are number of vulnerability associated with respect to the cloud infrastructure. Their number of vulnerability associated with respect to the web server, their number of vulnerability associated with respect to the application server, their number of vulnerability associated with respect to n number of hardware, as well as maximum software application, like Saurabh already touched. Like, this is the attraction that many software application under the current scenario are available under open source environment, means free of cost, you don't need to. Okay, and many people, especially the business user, they just simply visit to a dedicated service provider, simply download, simply install, configure. Okay, but the least concern about the vulnerability, those which inbuilt exist into those software application. It might be possible that when you install, when you configure that software application with respect to your business environment to fulfill your business requirement, all the software application which is purely cloud enabled is fulfilling your business requirement, but it, if inbuilt, contains some vulnerability that going to be converted into the threat with respect to your entire business, and it might be possible that after some time your entire business would going to be crash. So here there are n number of things. So this is my humble request, those of you are keen to want to specialize, especially with respect to this environment. First of all, you should be thorough into the database. Then now database we are using are of different type. One is the RDBMS database, which is known as SQL database. Then now we are using the column database. We are using the graph database, which is also known as NoSQL database. Okay, so first of all, you should be, especially from the chartered accountant point of view, your job is not to prepare the database just like an IT professional, but you have to become the effective application user, okay, from the business user point of view. But if you don't know thoroughly, if you are not aware of that, what is the difference between SUV and LUV and MUV, then the advantage goes to the manufacturer. It might be possible he or that manufacturer sold out you sedan and mention you it is SUV if you are unable to differentiate. The same with the technology also. So especially from the auditor point of view, like I mentioned, that auditor is basically playing the, because chartered accountant, you won't consider yourself simply as a chartered accountant. Prepare or think yourself like a consultant. Then consultant is a broader profile, and there are many emerging areas where you people can play the key role, because without brain of the consultant, no organization think about to implement, to adopt any new technology. And every technology is not fit for every business, because need requirement of one business is not equal to the need requirement of another business. So first of all, you have to analyze the business as per the business need, business requirement, need required selection of the right technology, because the volume of data generated with respect to one business is not equal to the volume of data generated by another business. So which technology is fit even with respect to the cloud? It is not necessary that all the three type of the cloud, public, private, and hybrid, would be advisable for each and every business organization. So here we need required people, those who are a smart thinker, those who are the creative, those who thoroughly understood the business, okay, at the ground level, perform the analysis. Because here now many of the business organization, they are keen to implement the fintech also, which is the emerging area even from the chartered accountant point of view. And in fintech also, just for your knowledge, without thorough knowledge of the cloud computing, without thorough knowledge of the big data analytics, without thorough knowledge of artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, without thorough knowledge of this blockchain, because this is, fintech is nothing but integration of this. And here again, the cloud computing is playing the key role. So many of you, otherwise you fail to understand that where Ashnin Grover perform the unethical practices with respect to the Bharat Pay, and how even after performing the smart deal, with respect to the PMC, he invited the vulnerability for his entire career and for entire life also. So
Correct,
here
correct.
again, yeah.
Rightly
So there
said, sir.
are many things here. Yes, Jigar
And
ji.
Sanjay ji, just to tell you, I am acting as a consultant for migrating to cloud environment for educational institutions,
Right, sir.
like for universities and for coachings and all. So, if somebody of you wants to have a real-time hands-on experience for it, fine. So, I do not share my case openly because that's a kind of what do you say, agreement, non-disclosure
Right.
agreement. But if
Right.
some of you wants to get involved into implementation part, yes, that's an opportunity. Or if you can create an opportunity out there, I can assist you in implementation or transferring to a cloud environment, typically from educational angle. So I have specifically drafted my domain into that aspect and can support you out or can guide you out. Any one of you is looking forward for that opportunity.
Right, sir. Even we had one request that if you have some case studies, both of you, then if you can
There
share
are
it.
many case study because we are responsible to implement,
Right.
involve into the real life business cycle.
Right. True, sir.
Because
But
whatever
still, if
especially
you
we
want, Sanjay ji, I
share,
can.
we apply practically.
You can
With me
just
also and
you
Saurabh
have my
also.
email ID.
Yes, yes, yes.
Right? You can drop me a mail. Just a reminder mail. I just need couple of days because tomorrow I am traveling somewhere. So maybe by weekend or so, I'll be able to give you a set of case studies, which are more Indianized case studies and small case studies, which will give you kind of just a reading will give you a kind of interest that what was the problem and how a cloud provider has given a cloud services or cloud computing has given a ready solutions to them.
Even there is one more thing, Jigar ji. I think your name is Jigar, na?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because Saurabh is addressing you, Sanjay. So I am
Actually,
also puzzled
Sanjay ji is
whether
the chairman. Yeah.
who is correct.
No, my name is Jigar
No,
only.
my dear, if with respect to one person, multiple name, then this is again suspicious. Yeah.
Because
Has
I
to
can see
perform the.
Jigarji is looking from a different email ID and
Yes.
Actually,
But he is Jigar.
coincidentally, the person providing the tech support, his name is also Jigar.
oh,
But your
so
name is also Jigar.
My name is also Jigar. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
anyway, Jigarji, so I
Okay.
thought it was a kind
So,
of decent interaction we had, and
Right.
maybe it will give you a brief of insight or maybe a next
have
step.
you,
You are not at
Jigar
ground
ji, have
level
you
now.
created this people, those who joined, have you created some group? So even you can connect if they having any query, they can ask onto that open platform.
Yes. Yes. Sure, sir.
Then even it become the long-term support for them.
Right, sir. Right, sir. I'll
Wherever they need
definitely.
required any assistance.
Yes. I'll definitely
Yeah.
do that, sir. I will probably create a WhatsApp group because all the contact details are available there.
Maybe in future we'll get the chance to interact physically into some real-time workshop.
Right.
Then member will get a more benefit.
Right, sir.
Yeah.
Yes. We still have 5 minutes, sir.
You can ask member to bombard any query from their end.
One query was there.
I can include many things, but even if there is any query, because
somebody has asked, sir, that what is the major difference between business analytics and data analytics?
Oh, business data analytics like this if suppose at this moment I'll ask you that total how many members join. Okay. And out of those members, how many are from Gandhidham and how many are from the rest of the country? So this is simply the data analytics. Okay. But now here, every data analysis is not data analytics, because data analysis we perform at the super level. And when we perform within the data analysis, more and more insight, that is within the data mining, more and more data mining, because data mining is a technique and data warehousing is a technology.
Right.
Okay. So, and business analytics is basically based on a particular business domain as per the business objective, as per the business need requirement, whatever the volume of data organization is available. Okay. And from that data, now organization want to derive to generate the new business. Okay. So here comes the business analytics here. Means from existing business, organization generated the data. And using this existing data bank, now organization want to generate the new data. So here the role of the business analytics.
Right.
And here we can differentiate between the business user and the business analytics, because business analytics is responsible to create a new business vertical from the existing business data source. This is what here.
Right.
And here one should be thorough with the domain knowledge, one should be thorough with the analytics, and one should possess very good knowledge about the statistics, and especially able to deal with the huge volume of the data here. Because like I mentioned, hardly anywhere we are dealing with the data, we are dealing with the big data.
Right.
Jigarji, just to add on to that, see, data analytics is a very specific domain. So you confine yourself with a specific set of data, do certain sort of analytics, and come with a certain sort of outcomes for it. And that outcome can be hidden information for it. When it comes to business analytics, that includes multiple data analytics to be conducted simultaneously, and then you can create a business intelligence out of it. And once you create a business intelligence, either it can be a solution for a current problem or it can create a new opportunity for the business.
Right, sir. Yes. One more thing that, sir, we had attended a seminar at Ahmedabad that was for SAP Business One. So basically, if we say in simple words, it is a lighter version of
SAP Business One is basically not the solution designed developed by SAP.
Okay.
That basically designed developed by the third-party service provider, and from them SAP acquire, because I'll directly provide support to SAP.
Okay.
And that product is basically the elementary or entry level product.
Right. Right.
Basically, you can say that it is basically a small ERP.
Yes.
Which provides support related to all the different functional areas.
Yes.
But that product is mainly advisable for SME or MSME.
Yes.
Not advisable for the big organization.
True.
Yeah.
As I think Saurabh sir was saying that, the 50% SMEs who are there, okay. And right now the scope is there with the SMEs,
Yes, India is a hub of SME. Even
Right.
the government accepted that SME and MSME is the economic engine of the country.
Yes.
And but many SME and MSME, they don't have the capacity to create their own in-house IS and IT infrastructure.
Yes.
They are doing excellent from the business point of view,
Right.
but they having certain business constraint,
Yes.
especially with respect to IS and IT infrastructure point of view.
Right.
And here this create opportunity for people like you to play the key role to provide. Even if suppose some of you even take the initiative and started dedicated a startup or a solution providing company to a particular cluster, so even that become the emerging business solution.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Jigarji, by default, Gujarat is a business place.
Yes.
Fine. You can identify a group of institutions or group of companies which are from the same industry,
Yes.
and provide a seamless solution for them. And for that, you can do a business analytics for them and come up with a solution which may be one size fit all or maybe slight modification, customizable solution.
Right. So, sir, suppose this SAP Business One. So, what I think is a cost-friendly and a good solution, right? So, likewise, any other software can you just suggest? What
about the nature of business? Because SAP B1 is a generic.
Right.
Okay. Now here, concern about what about the nature of the business organization? Nature of the business organization is FMCG. Nature of the business organization is a small scale production unit, like with respect to the larger scale automobile company. One of the company is simply designing or developing some components, okay, at the small level. So what about the nature of the business? Okay. And within the business organization, whether the organization is thoroughly or properly structured or not? Because until unless organization is not structured, it won't be advisable to go for the ERP. Okay. Right. And once it is structured, then we have to analyze that how many functional areas we define with respect to that SME, means whether that organization having the purchase department, whether that organization having the procurement, or whether the organization having one single department which acting like a purchase and procurement both. Okay, then organization having the dedicated storage unit, or the storage unit and the production unit are the same functional unit. Okay, then how many users are there, how many number of people are there with respect to each and every functional unit, then how many functional unit, how many functional user, how many non-functional user, then accordingly you can take even my consulting support. I'll provide support in other manner also.
Right, sir.
Fine ना जिगर जी?
Yes, sir.
एक ऑडिट में सारे ऑडिट करवा लेंगे तो गड़बड़ हो जाएगा ना.
Yes, yes.
Actually, there are different revenue sources. As a professional, you understood.
Yes, sir.
कि organization invited you for the internal audit, but requested you, oh, please perform the concrete audit, please perform the IS audit. फिर तो लगेगा एक फीस में मेरा चार काम करके आ गया मैं.
Right, sir.
Although I'm kidding, but here actually with the ERP, actually, first of all, at the ground level, you have to thoroughly study the business organization,
Right.
because size of the business organization, what about their production rate, okay, how many people are there, how many their business associate are there, okay, then
Jigar
only
ji, if you
able
can,
to
if you
perform
can,
the
if you can
selection.
correlate this to DISA topic, have you understand that first thing to analyze is the business case? Then only a solution can be drafted for it.
Right, sir.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Jigar ji, I hope you although understood.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yes. Any more query? Any more query? Yes. Yes. I hope your expectation would be fulfilled.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I think I am just looking at that question.
Where is your chairman, Sanjay ji?
Sanjay ji is, I think, just in the adjacent room.
Oh, he's present or not? Yeah.
Yes, yes, he's present. He's present. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, sir. So I think yes. There are no other queries that I can find. That is on the question board. There are no further queries, sir. Yes.
Okay. Fine. Fine. Fine.
Yes.
Then kindly allow us for the
Yes.
day.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So thank you very much. For technology, I would just conclude with this one line, that with great power comes great responsibility. So earlier, people hijacked man and asked for ransom. Nowadays, people are hijacking data and asking for ransom. So the responsibility there has definitely increased. And so I would urge all the members to take the responsibilities, and there's so much to gain. This is the future, and there is no pain, no gain. So we do have to take the pain to understand the things, and you cannot.
Even Jigar ji,
Yes.
somewhere even we have to change the version. This is no more the future. This is
Yes.
already started.
True, sir. True.
So nobody
Very true.
can even pass on, wait for the tomorrow. Because
Yes.
if they wait, maybe in between somebody else would
Yes.
able to materialize this and catch the opportunity.
True, sir. True.
So we are not actually into 4.0. I think that we have already moved from 4.0 to 5.0. We are somewhere in 4.5 industrial level. So we have to prepare for 5.0 now.
Right. So I would thank you from the bottom of my heart, and on behalf of all the members, for sparing your valuable time and giving us a very good outline and very brief idea about how this the cloud works, how practically the cloud works. And thank you, Saurabh sir. You explained the challenges, but you also provided solutions. I think that was the best part of it. So thank you, both of you, for encouraging us. I thank you on behalf of all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Nice. Thank you.
Recording
Thank you.
stopped.